a hype match, I believe. And I believe we stop to do
ILTW is still going to be dying here, and Chrysalis a big heals up as he managed to just rip through Miracle. The faction is going to be enough, trying to win this fight for his team. As his other two cores seem incapable. The supports are getting cleaned up on the back line as GH is going to die. Fishman, he actually last second sounds of Fishman, perhaps to save Kuro, but no.
Team Entity, they're a pretty unpredictable team because sometimes they can be really, really good and sometimes they can be kind of mediocre, I should say. But this is a match that I'm also really looking forward to. I think it's going to be a really fun match to watch.
Trying to get the DK, 3 heroes here again, but here comes Nabito trying to go out if he can. They've got the Chen heal, they've got the Rupture. Here comes Amar, and they'll get the kill on a Thug. They'll take out Spartan 2, already dropping on the side of Brain, with everybody pretty healthy on the side of OG, but an Illuminate hits on the Taiga as well as Misha. The Miscoil, the stun, but he's a bit too far back for them to go after. They've got the Vortex once again, and it's a triple kill for Amar.
BDM, are you ready to game?
Fishman and Crystal, you know I love you both, but we're gonna win.
Yeah, there's a lot of history with these players. Every time we asked either OG or Entity, like which team you're looking forward to facing most, it was always each other because of all the history between the players and, of course, former Creep Wave. And I'm happy that both of them are saying that this should be an exciting game to watch. On paper, it looks a little bit skewed. We can start by looking at the standings and see how things could play out. I'm joined by Sunsfan and Pyrian Flax. And Pyrian, what do you think about this series and all the results that could come out of it?
Oh, it's just blowing my mind, Sheebs. Can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Galman Gladiators, fancy them. Team All Quald, looking good. And Untl. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's all going to be very exciting. Of course, if Entity lose this series, they get tied with Brame, meaning they have to play for survival in Division 1, Sunsfan?
Sure. Yeah. I just want to come out and just apologize to Shiva.
It's fine. I was like,
Apologize to
let's
Shiva.
just run my panel the way I normally do it. See what happens. See what comes
It's
out.
a brave approach.
Can we get the wide shot again with the words
Not
analyst?
too wide. Oh.
Let's get the word the lower thirds.
Wait a
Saying
second. This one has to
analyst
go
by
away
our names, because
first.
I'd like to take a screenshot of this so that I can save it for another
Analyst,
time.
Pyrian Flax. Analyst, Sunsfan.
They
can
put
put
mine
this
in
on
a
the
different
resume.
color because I'm such a good analyst that
Wow.
they're like, he
Very
needs like
good.
a special standout font. There, thank you.
Applause and everything.
Crowd goes wild. Sorry, what was the question?
No, I think it's important to note that it's very important for Entity because if they lose, they have to play for relegation or for avoiding relegation with Brame. Also, for OG, it's really important because the top 5 rather get points, DPC points. OG is already guaranteed major, but points are incredibly important to make it to TI. And number 1 seed gets 400 points, number 2 seed 240 points. And OG, they still have a good shot of making it to that first seed. Of course, also depending on the result tomorrow with Gaming Gladiators and Team Liquid. But if they win here, they definitely have a good shot there at getting those 400 points, which is very important. What are we guys looking forward to this series today? Like, is there anything in particular you want to see from this, Ted?
Nope.
No.
Nothing in particular. Just the usual stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I love watching OG.
Yeah.
They're a fun team to watch. I haven't watched much Entity, I'll be honest with you. The reason I'm standing is I'm absolutely stuffed. And if I sit down, I think my butt is going to
incredibly jealous.
Okay, I've been there many times.
Yeah.
Our food,
I'll try it.
mine and Sunsfan's food is still
Oh, it's
upstairs.
not a
We
good
haven't had
feeling.
a chance to eat it yet. Don't worry, you can stand up again because the draft has just begun.
Oh.
And to see
Draft,
the draft,
you
you
say?
have to see that monitor, which is easier to see when you're
Well,
standing.
I sure can't wait to break down this draft.
Don't worry, I've got you.
It's going to be very high-tech, high-tier stuff.
They've banned Prophet and Pango, Enigma, and... Ooh, I don't know. They should probably just ban Cottle. Get that hero out the game,
Yep.
son.
The Enigma ban is a reaction to Taiga being a beast on the hero, and definitely a big respect on banning that first phase. For people that are like Ted and don't know Entity that well, Entity came up from Division 2 this tour, and they've done really well. They were able to beat Brame and Enigma Galaxy. Those are the 2 wins that they have taken. There's one thing that was a tradition until they faced Secret. every time, first game of the series, every series, apart from when they face Secret, they won game 1.
Wow.
They lost the series, but they won game 1. Team Secret, they also lost the series, but they won game 2, so they were able to make it competitive. But every time they were able to make a competitive series out of it. And of course, the reason why you're hearing a lot about them wanting to face each other is because BZM and Amar, they came from a team called Creepwave previous season, and Crystallis was in that team as well. So Crystallis is very, very hyped about facing facing OG here today.
It is weird when a team, like especially consistently winning the first game
Yeah,
of a
it was
three-game
consistent.
series, and to then lose the next 2, you think, what happened, guys? Like, did you just go, hey, we got this, and relax, and then lose the next one and go, oh,
I think it's
shit.
more, usually it's the opponent. Like,
You figure
okay,
them out. Just
all
ban
right.
Oh,
this.
that's how they play.
I mean, like when a team is not as experienced, I mean, we call OG experienced. I mean, this is like a relatively new
Right,
squad.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's actually the thing that's impressed me the most about OG is that a lot of unknown names for the outside people, but they've been really strong the last 2 seasons. I was looking at, during my extensive research
Yeah.
of these players and their drafts, I was looking at,
Is that literally you now looking at your phone?
that's me looking at, this is my extensive research. You should look at like the most common heroes that each respective player plays, and it's like, 3, 4, 5 heroes. You look at Uragi, it's like it's like the entire hero pool. It's insane how much flexibility they have. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that they're finding success is because of their flexibility and how many like heroes are. They don't have hero puddles, as it were.
That's good.
Very, very true.
And Amar, the mother effer, has the best name as well. Just have to shout him out.
Amar the Flower?
Yeah, there we go. My boy.
Lovely.
So we see Tiny, Pugna, and Sand King Bane. So Bane, very good at laning. Can set up. I mean, we've seen the arrow set up in the past. I don't know if they're thinking that far ahead right now, but Sand King has been this hero that's kind of just been a pretty big staple in the off lane.
He's
very
just
successful.
in a
Sometimes
great
mid
place.
as well.
He's in such a great place right now. I feel like strength heroes seem to be the vibe,
Hell yeah.
and this guy is just he farms really fast. He can farm enormous stacks. He's a pain in the arse to lane against, and he's just great. I love him. I think he's a terrific hero.
Yeah, speaking of strength heroes being popular, Amar is playing a lot of Timbersaw, which is of course a hero that's great against mostly strength heroes. And oftentimes we have seen OG prioritizing that in the first phase. This time ignored by both teams so far in the picks and the bans. I would say,
They ban it.
so yeah, I would say so far nothing too out of the ordinary with the Sand King Bane coming out for Entity and the Pugna Tiny for OG. It's
Look at
pretty
this, the double
stable.
wallpaper vibe, by the way. 2 different kinds of
Wow.
wallpaper in the same room. That's a bold choice.
Yeah.
And the fact that it breaks halfway, like you'd expect one wall to be one paper and the other wall to be a different paper. It might be a poster, but it looks like wallpaper.
No, it looks like one of those. You know those photo walls that you have you can have
You go into the
forest.
chemist to get a passport photo taken or something like that. That's what he's got. That's stand in front of this, or like a school photo. Yeah, maybe it's just so he can convince people he lives on an island. See, that's just a regular old wall background there.
Wait, is it a background?
blurred.
That's blurred
He's
background.
got the AI.
He's
He's
almost got a
sweating so
blurred.
hard, droplets of sweat are landing on the lens and blurring it out.
Goodness. It's really prepping for this upcoming match. Back to the Timbersaw, though. I think Bane is a pretty good answer, but they're going
There's
to ban
that
it
Cottle.
anyway.
There's that
Cottle makes it
lemon
the second-
Cottle.
It's funny how we see like these heroes that some teams, like first 2 pick, they prioritize, even they ban right away. Other times you get them last pick or in the second phase like we see with Cottle. But I feel like this is a very safe hero that just always finds farm, like no matter what
Oh, it's
position.
insane, yeah.
And very strong right now.
Yep.
And I put Tiny in the same category because, I mean, it's not played as support as often these days, but with the shard changes, that's 15 minutes and you're just online as opposed to before where they wouldn't really line up with your itemization as cleanly. I guess.
Tiny you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tiny
it's,
shard
it's,
is
it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, a lot of the heroes that we see that are really powerful, you'll see that the shards are a big reason why. It's not that the shards necessarily would change, but like just getting it 5 minutes early. Like Viper's
Yeah.
a great example.
I
You
think
wouldn't
you're
really
right.
see Viper shard as often until late game in the last patch, but with this one,
Now
you're
it's
seeing
like
it pretty
you
much
get
right
it
away.
so much quicker, it's actually value, right?
Yeah.
But Tiny Shard It's like, oh, you want a Battle Fury at 15 minutes in addition to whatever else you go, yeah, sure, here, have it. I can't
Battle
stand
Fury
it.
that beats the shit out of buildings.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
none other.
It's daft. Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
It's a little too strong past me.
I was complaining about it to Cap and Purge, and they were just like, it's fine. It's balanced. Just got to pick Terrorblade.
It's a good Purge impression.
It's actually fine.
I mean, back in the day, it was 4,200 gold for essentially the same thing, right? The old Ags.
Just daft.
Yep.
If they put it on the Ags, would people still get it?
Yeah, I think so.
Clockwork.
All right.
Get on that couple.
Clockwork, extremely good against Bane because of the
And
long
couple,
cast
yeah,
animation
absolutely.
time.
Also, you know, when he's gripping, they don't really have any other way. I was a bit worried. I don't think of Viper as a hero that's going to run down Kotl because he's quite slow. So Kotl can just speed away. This Clockwork gives him a way to get on top of him, cancel the grip, le grip of Bane. Do you think Bane's French?
Definitely not.
Well, he's got that cheese
Yeah,
and that special cheesy French music.
it is French music, but
That is French music, but
I wonder
the
what the
cheese is
lore of that
actually
is.
Gouda cheese.
Gouda?
Yes, it's the
Gouda?
yellow cheese. Gouda. Gouda.
Isn't it Gouda?
Gouda.
where's
Yeah.
that from? What
The
country?
Netherlands.
Oh.
But there's indeed French music, so it doesn't add up. Someone didn't do their homework.
I'm sure the lore is very deep. To the
Yes.
point that none of us truly understand.
Get Jake
And
on the
also,
blower.
I mean, he's a nightmare guy, right? He holds people in his grip. What
I
does
think
that
it's
say
the
about
thing
Dutch
that cheese
people?
gives you nightmares. Is the
For some
thing.
people, that is very true.
Right.
Causes lactose intolerance
Yeah.
towards the enemies.
But
with,
then why the French music? Why not some nightmare music? That's all I'm saying.
True.
That's where it's lost.
That is odd.
And there's the Terrorblade that you were
There
talking
it is.
about.
All right, well, that's a lot of armor. Of course, they do have a lot of magic damage on OG, so I don't think they care that much. Like mid-game, this Terrorblade can definitely get blown up.
Yeah, I want to also point out that we have not seen Crystallis play Terrorblade like the entire time, even though Entity is probably the team with the most games played in the entire tour because most of their series went all 3 games. So, yeah, surprising to see him not having played that. That being said, he is the #1 player in Europe at the moment on the leaderboards. I would imagine he knows how to play a Terrorblade.
I would
That's a
hope
good
so.
point. Let's give him the credit for that.
I'll give him the
I mean, it's a
credit.
pretty brain-dead hero. Let's be honest.
Would you say that to him?
I
Dude, that's
guess.
such a brain dead hero.
He
Well
would,
done.
he would probably
GG.
agree.
Yeah, pro players are typically on the same page with the whole brain deadness of certain heroes. All right, so what are we looking for? From Entity, it depends on if Sand King is mid or not. It could be a mid, could be offlane. We've seen both. So they have slight flexibility there. Or it could be Coddle mid even as well, technically. But I highly doubt you pick a support as your last pick. So just assume
You
it's
never
or
know.
Coddle.
You never know.
Yeah, it depends on the matchups.
What do they call it? A flex pick, right?
Flex
Right, I
pick.
love flex picks.
Love it. So if there's some pos 5 that's going to dumpster them, you can push the Kotl to mid.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate flex pick right now is Terrorblade as support by an Armlet, Dagon, Lothars.
That's the classic.
That's a lot of farm for a support, but
That's the
in
old
today's day and
school.
age, yeah, would not recommend.
Yeah, the ultimate flex pick is, of course, the Sand King that can go mid or offlane for them. So that's why we see OG banning out offlane heroes. The last couple of times we saw Sand King played was mostly Stormer, in the wins anyway. Let's focus on those. So we'll see if Toby gets an overall last pick. We have seen in the series that they won, for example, against Nigma Galaxy, Entity won mostly off the back of Toby getting the overall last pick. He won once with an Ancient Operation core, an Enigma core. Worked out great both times around, and it does seem like OG is trying to focus Toby's hero pool a little bit there. And Invoker is last
OG
back.
also has flexibility because Pugna could technically be mid. Stormer plays it. And obviously Tiny. I mean, Viper, I would guess, is an offlane unless it's a really good matchup for mid. They can always flex that slightly.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's
That
a nice
is a
camera.
green screen.
These are some gamer glasses here.
Yeah, they are.
Look at
Did
these.
you know you could get a filter on your monitor so that you'd have it on your screen rather than...
You should
Then you
tell
don't
him
look
that.
cool.
You should tell
I
him
mean, it
that.
looks cool.
Yeah.
He looks
Not
like
everybody would
a
look cool in
sniper.
those glasses, though. Taika can pull
Mine
it
are
off.
slightly like that, actually. When
Your
I take
curved
them
ones?
off, it's like, oh, that's
Yeah,
what
but his
color.
ones are a little curved. Yours ones are like straight.
Yeah. What can I say? All right, so this, I'm going to guess that this is a mid. Yeah.
There's Ember
Ember.
Spirit.
Okay.
Do we feel like they have enough lockdown to deal with an Ember?
Well, they got the grip. That's something. But they've got good ways to cancel it, so that is an issue. Also, with the shield, Kotl and Sand King's damage is going to be somewhat reduced, so I think it's a pretty good pick. I'd be scared the hell of Umber in this game if I was Entity.
The question is, how good is Sand King mid against Ember, and if they want to put Sand King offlane instead?
That is true.
That is the question.
I mean, you do burn through his shield, right? Because the Sandstorm is annoying as hell, but yeah, it's not great.
Is Invoker still in the pool?
No,
Nope,
nope,
just
banned out.
Okay.
What lanes well against an Ember Spirit if they do want to relegate that Sand King to the offlane?
Is Lena still in the pool?
Yeah.
She is.
I love Yule's buyers against Ember. You dispel the Flame Guard, and it can actually burst them down. Sets up a lot of your potential stun action.
Yeah, we'll give them some more lockdown, which is always nice.
And just
So
damage.
right-click damage. Queen of Pain.
Okay.
That will be the hero. It will be a hero for mid, so they will put that Sand King on
He
the
is
offlane.
looking forward to this game.
Oh,
Look
yes,
at
he
this.
is.
Yeah.
Rubbing his hands at the thought.
I would say Bane is Fishman's signature hero. So he's very happy to get his hands on that one.
Damn, that is some TB set.
That is, yeah, that's with those gems that you can't make anymore, I think. Where you could choose the color.
That's very cool.
Old
That is
school.
cool.
And that is my favorite Clockwork set, the Tiny Dino one.
The Raptor.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that his animations makes it even better. I am feeling OG
You are.
personally. I think they're the better team, which
Yeah.
is not, anything crazy to say. But I think they have the answers for Terrorblade, honestly. I'm not a huge believer in Queen of Pain.
No.
I might be a bit of a hater.
I mean, I think this Ember could get really big. They do have Tiny. And I think Pugner and Viper is pretty gross to play against as well. So yeah, OG for the exact same reasons that Suns fans make.
I mean, on paper, OG has been in an absolute tear. Like any opponent, they've just crushed it. Ever since they lost their one series that they lost in a very close third game against Team Secret, they've just crushed every opponent. Will they do the same thing to Entity? We're going to find out together with Cap and Jenkins.
It's right. The first time these two teams are going to face up against each other. First time, at least in an official match anyway. And it's a chance for OG to be able to claim the top spot in Western Europe because the current rule set says there is no tiebreaker if it is not between major
qualifying team
/ relegation.
I see.
So
Okay.
since we're going into a major that has all group stage, it used to be, okay, there would be a tiebreaker because, of course, first and second means you
Playoff.
go to playoffs or you go to group stage. But since it's all group stage now, the current rule set says that, well, there's no longer that. It's just groups. So since you're all going to groups anyway, there's no tiebreaker there. So, which means OG could net themselves an extra 160 DPC points by being able to win this match right here because they have the head-to-head against Gaming Gladiators.
Yep, and that mattered a lot last year. So I think people have a lot of respect for the points that they can get from the leagues.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, especially after like regional finals happened for there. That's our tour.
The one RTZ clan member.
Yeah. There's a lot of fake RTZ clans out there, you know?
There is, yeah. There's a South American one. There's a Russian one.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fans. A lot of our tour fans all around the world.
So this is an interesting draft from Entity. They picked Terrorblade into Tiny. It's the #1 hero in terms of there's three people
There's
here,
a
Mark.
lot of people here, and they don't sleep. They don't Shadow Strike. They don't really want the kill.
No, they're playing for lanes, which is fair. I see players more often than not these days. Like unless you can get a first blood for your mid and it's like guaranteed, you don't want to like skill things up that you're not going to want for lane because it just ruins the lanes and it's not worth like the 200 or so gold that you get. But
Right. Let's continue on the Terrorblade because you were saying during the draft, you were telling me privately there was an absolute dog shit Terrorblade game. There's no way you could possibly win.
So it's the yes, all right, those are my exact words, 100%. It's the highest winner here versus Tiny in the game, so I understand that part. But the other day we saw this Terrorblade versus Viper matchup, and Viper absolutely dumpsters this. It's really difficult. Like, you have to really play the TB well. And I was thinking maybe they would even put Kotl in that lane just to secure the lane, even though they have the Caudal Sand King down here, which obviously is a very effective lane.
Yeah.
Get the double burrow strike and everything, double nuke. But yeah, because Clockwork deals well with the Bane, and Viper deals very well with the Terrorblade. I expect that lane to be very difficult. And I think Terrorblade's going to have to go jungle pretty early, but we'll see.
I feel like that's not the only answer to Terrorblade here, right? It's I feel like Pugna as a support actually deals pretty well. I mean, he cleans out the illusions, right? Whenever he tries to throw him down lane, you've got a support that can insta-kill him. That's
yeah.
nice.
It is.
Decrepify is a very useful tool defensively.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like the thing with TB is like a big reason that this hero is considered very strong is the fact that you can push out lanes, but you do it with like single illusions, not multiple. You're not like Naga Siren. So clearing just one illusion on Pugna is actually pretty damn impactful. But so basically what Entity is doing here is they're saying that we think that this is good enough versus Tiny, which they're right about that. Like it's literally the #1 winner hero versus Tiny, because Tiny cannot burst TV and you just turn and you sunder him. It's what we saw at TI. It's it's you know what Team Spirit did to deal with the Tiny. So yeah, it's very strong. It's very strong. And they're saying, okay, even with these counters, we still think that it's strong enough that it's worth picking it in the game. You can already see that Viper's doing very well in lane versus Terrorblade.
So it sounds to me basically that if Entity can get out of the laning phase, in, let's say the first 20 minutes of the game, and be looking pretty even on net worth, you're feeling good about this Terrorblade being able to carry.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you know at that point you don't care about the Viper. It's magic damage. You're gonna have BKB. You're gonna have Scotty. Same with Pugna. Exact same answers to Viper will answer the Pugna, other than the illusion killing, which is a bit of an issue.
Boy, Misha is just being quite obnoxious here. And Yuragi even joining him and kicking Toby out of lane. The Keeper of the Light's like, all right, sorry, Toby, I'm going to have to take some CS here. And he'll try and stall up the creep wave, connect them together. Kotomi doing a good job of kind of ensuring Toby gets not totally screwed by Misha's play there.
Honestly, more often than not, this is what you see with Sand King lanes these days. Like, players have gotten really good at just understanding that he's extremely weak in the first few levels, and it's not the type of hero that you want to just, let him get to level 4, let him get to level 5. Like, I know a lot of people consider Sand King to be like arguably the most overpowered hero of the patch. People in pubs will like flame you and pause on you. It's like high-level pubs. Like people are really grumbling about Sand King. It's like, oh, it's just such an easy hero, yada yada. But the way that you punish it is in the lanes. I've never seen people die behind the tier 1 like that. But I can understand why they have this mentality of pressuring, because that's kind of what everybody's thinking towards the Sand King. Like weak early, absolutely god tier later. You have to pressure when he's actually weak.
And it goes to show how strong he is, because I feel like doing well in lanes is a very important part of the meta right now.
It is.
And to have to be actively first picking a hero
that will do pretty bad,
will get absolutely destroyed in lanes more often than not, says a lot about his viability.
Whether it's strange, it's weird. Like most of the time, Sand King loses lanes. Like once he's got the levels, he's okay. But by that time, you should be losing to the degree where like the carry has more items than you and can deal with you. But a lot of the time, Sand King goes 0-2 in lane, gets a Blink Dagger, and laning phase is just forgotten. Like nobody gives a shit. You just do so much damage, and you've the greatest initiation currently in the game. So it's like, it just doesn't matter. You need so little to do a lot on that hero.
And his recovery mechanism is really good, right?
Yeah.
As long as you support stacks for you. Fishman is going to die here, it looks like, as maybe he can actually brain stab and keep himself alive. No, he's just slowed too much. Even a stick being used there, but it's not enough. Amar picks up the first blood. This lane is indeed going very well for OG.
So one thing that I'm thinking about now with the Entity draft, with picking the Terrorblade into Viper and into this difficult lane, is that they do have a Sand King, who we already talked about. His laning is pretty weak, and he wants to ideally like take the safe lane at some point. So you have a safe lane that's basically designed to lose, and then a hero that likes to take the safe lane. That's kind of a perfect storm there. So Sand King at in the next few minutes, especially when the catapults come out, I think we could see SK TPing towards top and holding that lane, and TB just goes and jungles up, and then all of these counters just don't matter.
Which would explain maybe why they wanted to keep the Coddle down there, because they need Sand King to get some good levels. That way he could take this lane away from Crystallis, who is obviously struggling here, and he is going to die again. And Fishman, I think, just kind of joined in the party to possibly die as well. I don't see any escape for him unless he can somehow block him out in trees. Taiga's actually getting a little low. Fishman wants at least that, but no. He gets pushed back into his doom. Amar with a double kill is now 3-0. You know, we've seen this guy shut down, and he still comes back and has a great game. I'm very scared of what it looks like when he wins his lane super hard.
Yeah, and they do this dive on at the 5-minute mark. So the catapult's just about to spawn. The catapults are hitting the side lanes, as we can see here, and they just killed 2 people. So it's going to be even harder for anybody to go up towards that top lane. And given the fact that Sand King's having a tough time down here, he's only got 2 levels in Sandstorm. So it's not exactly easy for him to hold the top lane right now, just because you don't have the permanent Sandstorm. You don't have the 100% uptime on it. It doesn't do that much damage. So
yeah,
there's not as much threat with that level 2 Sandstorm. Like, you can just walk into it and kill him, and you don't take that much damage from it. Level 5, that's when you get to the point where Sand King can actually kill you.
And Terrorblade is also not at a point that he's going to jungle super efficiently just yet. As Misha trying to juke out, goes back into the trees and TP's away. He'll TP actually back to base, so maybe there's some time here. Amar's actually going to die. Good rotation there from Stormstormer, set up by Fishman with the sleep. So they relieve a little bit of pressure there in the top lane, while the TB just focuses on jungling. No longer has a lane to work.
Yeah, they needed that. They needed, like, both the side lanes are kind of tough right now, and both the TB and the Sand King want to farm, so it 100% falls on your mid laner at that point to start rotating and, you know, use those levels that they got from the mid lane in the farm. So yeah, that was a solid rotation.
BZM has been joined by Taiga, and they're trying to pressure the mid lane while the Queen of Pain was away, so they get a little bit of chip damage there, nothing major.
Forcing the blink. That doesn't do anything more than that, though. BZM too. Arcane Rune pulls the whole creep wave to the easy camp, so like he's just 100% farm focused right now, which is what you see with Ember Spirits more often than not these days. Ever since the change where Sleight of Fist does 100% damage to creeps, it's so easy to just sit in a lane, and anybody that comes in, you just slowly chip away at them with Sleight of Fist and clear the whole creep wave as well at the same time. So it's like you cannot sit in lane and farm against Ember. And so a lot of Embers these days are just not really rotating, which is a little weird because this is one of the better rotating heroes in the game, especially if you get a rune. But it just makes so much sense to sit in a lane and chip.
Oh, Fishman. Kind of lucky to be alive there. Does rotate back out. Basically, Amar and Taiga, they want to make sure that nobody is actually sitting behind the trees there and soaking experience. Fishman does need some help here, and Chrysalis was in the neighborhood and will probably be enough to allow Fishman to be able to disengage. Stormstormer actually going for this. It looks like they've got an easy kill on Taiga, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's pressure. It's pressure. Like, OG, they're farming on all of their cores right now. They're so happy with this, with just a support dying for that, forcing those rotations. Like, Uragi is untouched bottom lane. My boy has no kills or anything. He's still top net worth.
Yeah, OG just being very farm efficient after winning lanes. I feel like this has just been a bit of a formula for them is dumpstering lanes really hard, and then what they know really well how to use that lead that they're able to get from it. So we're going to see how Entity is able to respond, and it feels like they are doing a good job of keeping it like the net worth hasn't spiraled out of control or anything.
Yeah,
This top tower is still alive.
They're weathering the storm for sure. Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job. They're not losing a lot. I mean, Fishman just trying to get solo XP up here. Soaking a bit. He's going to get punished for it.
But still, I mean, even if he dies here, right? Like, in a way, he's kind of been doing his job.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. He's a 5. Who cares? Like, this doesn't matter. Ideally, like, you know, in an ideal world, he has, like, a tango and he goes through some tree there and survives, like, epically. But,
sure.
Yeah, as a 5, that's what you want to do. He's getting a 6. Once he gets a 6, he can start making rotations, and Entity can actually, you know, potentially get a lead in this game rather than just kind of passively farming. They can actually do something aggressive.
Yeah, and they kind of need that Fiend script to be able to do something about this Ember Spirit currently, which until there's like a Blink Dagger on the Sand King, it feels like BZM can kind of run around, do whatever he wants.
Yep, he's pretty free. It's entirely on Fishman. Misha, quite aggressive. Quite aggressive.
Yeah, dive past the tower, no problem.
He's got a salve, so he's just trying to efficiency.
Oh, Taiga! He is going to blink to the other side, but this also means that Stormstormer is a little bit exposed here, as he doesn't have his blink back up, and BZM really wants to go for the punish here, but the blink is coming up in a second. Will be able to go some distance, and TP out stays alive. Just barely. That DD was almost the death of him.
That was a nice little play from BZM. I mean, it doesn't end up netting anything, but they kind of baited that there. I think if he doesn't have the DD, that looks a lot worse. This nets them the tower, so they don't get the kill, but because of Stormstormer having to TP back, it's just a free tower with the catapult. And you see this a lot these days. The tiny carry rotating towards mid at like the 10-minute mark. It's not just like a passive farming hero. He's got so much HP that like good luck killing him at this point. 1800 HP hero that does a bunch of damage to towers. It's just a perfect hero to rotate mid.
Yeah, I think there's actually kind of a tie between Terrorblade and Tiny in that regard, is that they both kind of do that rotation, right?
Yep.
Terrorblades will do it if they're ahead. This TB probably needs to spend a little bit more time jungling before they make a move like that.
Yeah, usually with Terrorblades, like you get a Dragon Lance. Like if you get an early Dragon Lance, you make a move like that. Fishman's trying.
Yeah, they do have Taiga in the neighborhood. They're going to go for the grip. Can anybody block the hook? They need to be able to hit this, but Taiga is surrounded by heroes. That means BZM has no savior, and Taiga, in fact, may need to use that hook shot to be able to get himself out of danger as he gets some distance, but Stormstormer hot on his tail. Doesn't have the Shadow Strike to slow him down, but he does have the Coddle, lowering down some of those cooldowns. Even still, it wouldn't be enough nuking power.
I gotta say, that was a little cocky positioning there from BZM. Like he sees the Bane. He sees Fishman sitting right there. He knows he didn't use grip on the mid lane or anything like that. He knows they're all there, and still, like, he was just confident in Taiga being able to stop the grip.
Yeah, Taiga might have been making the call, you know, like, don't worry, I'll save you, but Entity, they will not be able to get Stormstormer out of there. Almost completed Blink, not quite good enough. They trade out with Taiga, but this is looking pretty bad for Entity. They've got to get out of here. And away through the river they go until the Ember Spirit actually catches up, diving in, separating targets here, but it looks like Toby's going to get burned down less. No, the Sleight of Fist cleans him up even after the Burrow Strike, and the other two pick up the Bane kill. So OG, they may have lost BZM, but they strike right back.
And this whole time Amar is just chilling on the top lane. I like his build. Have you seen this before, the Null Talisman on Viper? I feel like there's a lot more heroes that could get Null Talismans these days.
I mean, there's such a value item right now. The casual Null.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me.
I think there's also a lot of like int heroes that maybe want to. He's just chilling. This is the most Amar like heat map I've ever seen. But then again, you know, if you're Viper, like this is definitely one of the heroes where the heat map should look like that. So seems like a perfect fit for the way Amar likes to play.
Misha will join him up here, ensuring that Amar doesn't get smoke ganked or anything.
So yeah, still top net worth, all 3 cores of OG. The question is, when do they actually want to group up? It's OG, so probably not for a while. This is what they do. But I also do feel like this is the way that patch looks in a lot of other games as well. There's a lot of like, you push one tower and then you farm with that advantage for like 5 minutes, get another round of items, push another tower, farm with that advantage. Like, people are not just deathballing towers anymore. It's like, maybe you could call something like Death Prophet or DK like, oh, it's a death ball, but it only really happens when you have those item timings and after, you know, still a period of farming. Like, Sand King just sits in his lane. Same thing for Endy. He just sits in his lane until he gets a Blink Dagger. He didn't even go hold the top lane. That'd be abnormal in another patch.
So it's a little bit more formulaic, the ball. Maybe like a bowling ball.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
Take your time, you know.
Maybe it's like a bowling ball and it keeps coming out that, you know, what was that?
Yeah, you got to wait for it to come back.
You wait for it to come back, you throw it again, you wait for it to come back.
Yeah.
Or you could just grab somebody else's ball, it's too heavy. Well, okay, phrasing, all right.
She's going a little far, but go on.
I'm just saying, if you're used to an 11-pound ball, phrasing once again on that, and you grab a 13-pounder and you throw it, you might screw up. You're not going to hit that strike. So people just don't bother pushing these days because they'd rather wait until they know that it's something that's secure when they have an item timing.
No sense in forcing it.
No sense in forcing it. Amar going for a Manta style on Viper.
Middle tower is under attack.
That's not something that I've seen before. Not for a long time, to be frank with you here.
I mean, a dispel helps deal with there are a couple of things he could dispel here. That's not bad. He could also, in theory, use the illusion to help deal with nightmare targets, but...
Yeah, sure.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's very Amar. It's very, like, I'm going to carry from the offlane style.
It is.
Oh, Taiga off the mark there. Maybe it's for the best. His team was a little far away. He's going to be going for a shard. Right away. No force staff.
Hell yeah,
right
that's
away.
awesome. That's way more fun than a stupid force staff.
That's true.
We're going to watch the miss.
Dude, you just name and shame Taiga
That
like this?
is
Damn.
a little rude. But ignore that.
Spartan was saying when I did the interview with him, he was so excited about this clock. He's this clockwork hero. Gives you everything.
Who was?
It gives you so many suns. Spartan.
Spartan. Oh, yes, I saw that.
And of course, Spartan are currently watching this series, cheering for OG, because if Entity does lose, it means that Entity and Brame will be in a tie, and only one of them will be going to relegation. So we'll have an interesting best of 3.
Oh, the old high ground smoke break. Yep. A grip used. Okay.
Really want the kills that they can get, but BZM, Misha, they're all here, and they might just have to leave Fishman to die. Yeah, Fishman even going the other direction. Then Katomi accepts his fate.
Yeah, I mean, BZM just knows if grip is used, like he can go in and act like a madman there, and he's not going to die. Toby was showing top at the same time too. So if there's no Sand King and there's no Fiend's grip, like BZM, he can be a maniac if he wants. Now he's got to be a little careful because he doesn't see Toby, so Toby could have TP'd in at this point. That's probably what he's thinking right now.
Actually, Toby's underneath a ward.
Oh, never mind. He's under vision. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Taiga might actually try and go for that. The Tiny's closing in as well. If they manage to get the hook shot, cogs backwards, that'd be quite the combination with the avalanche over the top, then the toss. Beautifully executed by Yuragi and Taiga. Well set up.
Yuragi is now on the board for kills. More often than not, this is what you see with Tiny as they pick up the shard, pick up the Echo Saber, and that's when they can really start getting involved. Around that time, too, you have like max level and almost all of your abilities, so you actually have the burst to kill heroes. You're not just going to get kited, and he does have his full Shadow Blade now, too, so the map's going to look a lot scarier for Entity from this point out because Yuragi really hasn't been doing anything up until this point. Now he wants to get involved.
Yeah, I feel like that's when the map is already kind of closing in on around you. Entity, having lost their mid tower, mid and top lane are always pushing in, and Entity's just trying to keep bottom, you know, somewhat out. That Shadow Blade, there's a lot of room for Yuragi to get some pickoffs.
Oh, he hits the hook.
Cogs backwards into the chains. Very nice. Once again, Taiga setting up with one other core to be able to pick up some important kills.
BZM is using the Entity voice lines. That's really funny. That's good.
Panic.
Yeah, classic. Yeah, Taiga's like hard carrying this, man. I mean, he's doing so much work. With 3 cores, like basically sitting in separate lanes, it's falling entirely on him. What's a Pugna gonna do? You know, it's falling entirely on him to actually set things up.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, Misha's doing great. It's like you can walk into ganks 7 minutes faster than Manta stock because nobody goes Manta on Viper. that is so weird.
Oh.
But no, Taiga's totally carrying this game, which I suppose are words that are not, you know, unique.
It's definitely not a foreign concept to OG.
Yeah. No.
Spirit Vessel complete for Katomi, so we've got some better ways to deal with these heroes. We know that a Pugna is going to be sitting behind a core somewhere, and they already have a bit of a problem with being able to burst somebody down, as some of these heroes, Viper, I mean, all 3 of their cores have some
Tiny
sort of
is like
way to be
Vessels.
very tanky. Yeah.
Vessel in general against Tiny. Dude, the same smoke break, it's so unfortunate. Like every single time Entity goes for this smoke, at this point, it feels like you really have to do some crazy wraparound. OG's been on point with like just having their supports like standing there and breaking smokes. It's one of those things that when you're watching it and just nothing happens like that, it doesn't seem super impactful because literally nothing happened. But when you're in the game and you've run out of smokes because every single one you're just running into a Pugna or a Clockwork, it feels like shit.
Yeah.
Like you can't do anything. Smokes are so important in Dota.
Yeah, it is really interesting how OG is basically, they'll let them have some of the safe lane, they'll let them have some of that bottom lane, but they won't let them get past the outpost a lot of times.
Yeah.
There's just somebody usually hanging out there, whether it's Misha or the Clockwork, you know, making sure they can't actually get maybe a full wrap into the mid lane or something, or let them hit this tier 2 too much.
Dude, you know, I was watching a Collapse replay the other day, actually, and I noticed something like that in a lot of these games, there are lanes, like, not being pushed. So that way, the creep wave is in, like, a dangerous area where, like, if you come up, you're going to die.
Misha gets blown up. Now, we do have a full-out Scotty on the Terror Plate, so Entity have hit it a very big timing of their own. We said, you know, if this game is somewhat even, somewhere past 20 minutes, we feel pretty confident about this Terror Blade versus Tiny, just purely that matchup. But, you know, then again, you can't really forget about the fact that OG likes to be able to have 3 different cores scaling throughout the game. So we'll see how impactful Lamar is as a carry, as Yuragi threatening Stormstormer, just doing a good bit of damage, forcing him back. Maybe Taiga could have gotten a hook shot, maybe not. Either way, forces the Quap off the map.
Yeah, the problem here is like what you said. There are oh, he doesn't get the toss. Yeah, he tosses the creep.
Yeah, if he tosses them, and then especially if Taiga is able to close the distance there.
Yeah.
The hook.
Yeah, that could definitely be a kill.
Hook shot. Second attempt. This time does land on Fishman, and very fast, easy kill. And OG now cementing, okay, you can have the bottom lane because we're very focused on Roshan right now.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you lose a Bane, like we've been talking about for the OG side, like you lose a support, you don't really care that much because their death timer is so low, they just respawn and come to the fight anyway. But when you're directly in front of Roshan, that's a different story. Like 30 seconds is actually enough time to take Rosh. So that's just really unfortunate that that's where Fishman ends up going down. And I think the reason that he goes down there is because he was trying to ward Rosh because he was worried about them taking it. And, you know, in doing that, he actually loses it.
Ooh. Thankfully, oh, it was still enough. I thought the Essence Ring was maybe going to keep him alive, but damn, Yuragi beats him down.
Yeah, he's just huge, dude. He's just massive. Like, he's got the 20 talents already. He's got the Silver Edge, so he's critting. Like, his damage is just enough to kill any of these Entity heroes. Maybe not TB. Probably not TB. But
this is very rapidly turning into OG destroying any hero that's not TB. And I don't know, like, if I have the same faith. Like, sure, Terrorblade versus Tiny, but can Terrorblade 1v5? That's what it's kind of looking like it's going to turn into.
You know.
Oh, there's another one. See if he gets the right crits, the toss up, and that's going to be good enough. Man, that toss damage does so much when you get level 3 grow.
So, yeah, you've got the counter on TV, but the more and more items you give this Tiny, the more the counter just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, an item advantage on, like, a Pudge can carry a game if he has an item advantage. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how Dota works. Like, items scale based off of each other. So a guy with 3 items is, like, way stronger than a guy with 2 items.
Especially if that item is Giant's Ring.
That's a solid item on Pudge.
I was watching your stream last night. The giant Pudge with the giant hook.
It makes the hook massive. Yeah, it's really funny. I want to see that with Bloodlust and BKB, see how big the hook gets.
Yeah. 14-7, 6,000 net worth lead, but it feels like a little bit more than that just because OG controls so much of the map. And soon, they're going to be knocking down tier 2s. And once they knock down tier 2s, the map starts getting very small for Entity. They're actually going to try and go for this one. The late Cogs pushed back on Stormstormer. They're chasing after him a little bit. Yuragi actually came from behind, catches Katomi. Stormstormer's fine, but they still netted a kill. They're still going to get the second tier 2 back-to-back, so now it goes from 6K to 8K in rapid succession.
Yeah, and this is the point where you really hate the fact that there's a Tiny on the enemy team because he can take tier 3s in a matter of, like, seconds, less than a second, depending on the items that he has. He's going for a BKB, so he's going for, like, a safer approach than to go for, like, AC or something like that.
Man, every time. Stormstormer.
If he crits.
40 health.
If he crit once there, like, Stormstormer's dead.
The Rocket Flare could have got him. He does manage to blink away to safety, and he'll be fine. But there's still 2 minutes left on this Aegis. They do have a BKB now on Terrorblade, so We'll see what that does when the time comes for a big team fight. It seems like Entity are very all in on just like, it's okay, guys, we're going to just keep conceding ground bit by bit and give Chrysalis more and more time to farm.
Yeah, no crit in those 2 hits there, which, you know, it happens. Yeah, Tiny going for BKB, full BKB completed now, so now the Sunder's not going to come through. That's a big reason why Terrorblade is considered to be the hard counter to Tiny, is because you know, Sunder him and he's got this massive HP pool, so you do a ton of damage to him that way, but that's not going to be coming through here. I like that Crystallis is building into a Daedalus. Like you said, they're all-inning on the Terrorblade, and this is how you can tell that they're all-inning on the Terrorblade. They're going to rely on other heroes to protect him rather than him protecting himself. They definitely need the damage at this point, and they need to hope that they can keep him alive during a fight where he's just hitting all 5 of OG's heroes.
So everybody else is pretty much going to be a meat shield.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm surprised nobody's building like a Lotus. I guess it's just not that great of a Lotus game. But for Entity, at this point, you're looking for items like Force Staff and Glimmer Cape and Lotus, stuff like that.
Is it still, or we just, these items not good anywhere? The Vlad, Solar Crest, like, why can't we go that route? Goodbye,
yeah, they were, I thought they were the ones baiting him, but it looks like they're baiting themselves. You talk about the, okay, never mind. Still, OG, they're just...
Times, Cogs push back, and they do have just enough damage with the poison to get the kill.
Yeah, they're like not giving Entity any time to breathe whatsoever. Even with like 30 seconds left on the Aegis, they're still being so aggressive with it.
Entity.
What was your question again? You said something about Vlad's, etc.
Vlad, Solar Crest. We're talking about like how this is basically going to be a 1v5.
Yeah.
And the other 4 heroes are just supporting cast to the Terrorblade. Isn't like Solar Crest and Vlad's, aren't those like the traditional best items? Chrysalis, they have the damage for this one. They are going to be able to get a full Fiend's Grip. Pops the BKB to stay on top of Uragi. Uragi goes into the trees. He needs the vision. The illusion spot him, and it's no. Okay, good. They do manage to get that kill. Chrysalis is now turning back in. He needs all the help he can get, and he's just nobody from town. Amar had a BKB, so he couldn't get off of Sunder, and Toby, well, he tries in vain to help out the Tiny, but just throws his death on the pyre. Another body added into it. It's Katomi. He dies behind the tier 1 tower, and Entity, well, they pretty much, they get themselves the kill they were hoping for in the Tiny, but you could see the rest of OG are equally a big factor.
Yeah, you can see how the counter, you can see exactly how the counter plays out right there. Like, Tiny just gets kited by the Terrorblade with the Scotty. Terrorblade is able to do enough persistent damage versus Tiny. Actually, if you look at the win rate of heroes versus the Tiny, it's all heroes that can take these like long engagements and do a ton of damage over a long time, because Tiny likes to fight like that. So Venomancer, Batrider, those sorts of heroes. So you can see the counter there, and he's just barely in that sentry range. Very lucky. But the other heroes are a problem at this point, just due to the laning phase and how OG has snowballed the game so far.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even need the Tiny at this point. Like, really, he has to deal with the other heroes, and the Terrorblade can be currently dealt with by Amar and BZM. Who has a DD, by the way, on BZM. So he's looking to get active.
Yeah, and he is going to jump after Stormstormer here. Didn't quite guess where that blink went correctly, but either way, chased him out the map, pushed this lane in with the Lincolns. So they've got a Lincolns on Ember, they've got a BKB on the Viper, a BKB on the Tiny. If they do go for this Terrorblade, he's not going to have great Sunder options.
No. If he... Toby using Epi.
Does manage to catch Katomi. Uragi quickly follows that one up. Now they are going to go for the kill onto Taiga. Now BCM's right in the middle of everything. They do have the Fiend's Grip onto the Tiny right now, but no Terrorblade to follow it up. You can see Chrysalis, he is on full retreat right now.
He has no meta. He doesn't want to fight.
No.
Like, this
is 15 seconds. Oof.
This is the point where, like, a carry player flames their team. That's where, like, depending on who you're playing, if you're playing with a BSJ or somebody, they're just screaming at you because you fought 15 seconds before meta is up.
Yeah.
I get the idea of like camping a high ground. That's a good way to take a fight where you're at this disadvantage gold-wise, and so you take an advantage somewhere else where you have the high ground advantage, the vision advantage. Like, maybe you can win the fight, but without the TB meta, even with a great grip on onto DreamOG, like he's not going to go down. There's not enough damage to kill Tiny right now, other than with Terrorblade hitting the entire time. By the way, I really like what OG's doing, just like with their choice to not sit and hold an area on the map. I know a lot of teams like to do that, but what they're doing is they've recognized that they have these really fast-paced heroes that can, like Ember with his jump, Clockwork with the hook. They have Tiny who's running across with Silver Edge. Like really, Amar is the only one that can't get across the map quickly, and even he has a Manta style, so he is actually kind of fast at this point. So for a Viper, relatively speaking.
Sure.
So OG is basically like, okay, we're not going to hold an area. We're going to let them come out and then just run across the map and kill them because our heroes have the mobility to actually do that, and we have the ways of catching them out, which I think makes a lot of sense with the Tiny in general because you want to catch people out with the Silver Edge, but all the other heroes in OG, they want to do that as well, so it fits perfectly here.
Yeah, they're just constantly sweeping top to bottom,
Yep.
bottom to top, catching Entity as they try and push out lanes. Now, we're expecting Entity at some point in time to be able to set up on some sort of high ground, and maybe OG walks into them. You can kind of see with their smoke. They're setting up on some high ground areas right now, but OG's nowhere near in town.
Yeah, that's like what they're hoping for too, and that's what that last fight was for them. Was it's a mismatch of timings, unfortunately for them.
Yeah.
But you can see what they're going for. It's that there's this map sweeping happening, and the way of punishing that is that OG gets cocky and they run up a high ground with the Tiny when people are not quite behind him just yet. And we almost saw that happen on the bottom lane too, not on a high ground, but the Tiny walked into a sentry, and all of a sudden he's just solo killing 1v3. So it's unfortunate that happens. But you can see what Entity is going for in this game.
Rocket Flare, Spawn Stormer. And Doji, who are currently smoked up, are going to head that direction. The Ember Spirit's going to be in first. He's got a fresh BKB, so he's able to do something like this and just demolish the support at the very start of the team fight. They managed to get DreamOG on top of Stormer, so there's another pickoff. Toby, he's kind of stuck, and Chrysalis is now going to have to do almost a true 1 versus 5, but he can't even beat Amar, it looks like, who is getting sucked on right now by Misha. Goes for the Thunder Blade, but Misha was already missing HP. He was like, okay, bro, go for it. I'm at a third HP.
Yeah.
What do you want to do here? Chrysalis getting the tips, and Entity, who have stalled out this game all for that team fight right there. You can see why OG feels pretty good.
That was just an unfortunate situation for Crystallis, man. He's sitting against like a Manta Viper.
Who just picked up AC.
Yeah, he's got the AC, so one of the only times that I think I've ever seen a Terrorblade lose a man fight to a Viper. Then the only target to steal from in terms of HP is a guy that's been sucking Amar, and so he's super low HP. It's just weird. It's just a, an awkward thing to walk into.
Well, can't say it was a back and forth game of any kind. That was OG domination from, it really felt like it broke through in like somewhere around 20 minutes. I mean, they won their lanes, but Entity was kind of keeping it close. But Entity just seemed to have this idea that this Terrorblade,
yeah.
He'll be able to outcarry the Tiny, anything to get the TB farm, and it didn't work that way. Not against OG. Not when you have somebody like Amar who's like, I'm also a carry.
Yeah, I mean, OG basically played their regular Dota, and Entity tried this idea against them that they can pick a hero into counters, and just because they win the carry-to-carry matchup, that it's going to work, which I can understand why they go for it. It's one of the best carry-to-carry matchups in the game.
Yep.
So I get that. But yeah, OG, they just played their normal game, and it was enough. Like, I feel like they had no pressure on them in that game. And Taiga, like, he was on fire, dude. Like, that guy was setting up absolutely everything. He made it look so easy. He makes it so these other OG cores can farm the lanes and be greedy like that. He is the reason that they could deal with the Terrorblade, because the other cores were so fat because Taiga was making it so that they could farm the side lanes and stuff was actually still happening. So
OG putting on a masterclass performance here against Entity, not making it look close at all and making a good argument for themselves to be the #1 team in the Western European Upper Division. See if that comes true next game. Also the panel after the break.
What's your style? merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Keeping booties on the dance floor. Yeah. You're partying with DJ Roddy P.
Game 1 of this best of 3 series between OG and Entity goes convincingly the way of OG. They won all 3 lanes. Entity couldn't really do too much. The fight, they started okay, but the rest of OG was just, everybody's OG was just too far ahead for Entity to really try and achieve anything in most of them. I'm here with Pyrion Flax and Sunsfan, and they are here to analyze this game. Sunsfan.
Purge? Just kidding. It's not time for Purge yet, guys. Yeah, Taiga, I thought, played extremely well. He kind of set the tone early on Clockwork, which kind of neat to do. And we talked about how good battery assault was that game. The fact that they were able to reach the backline. Stop laughing, Sheep.
No, I'm laughing because Dad decided to shut.
What did he do?
He stood and then he realized, wait a second, I should sit down.
Yeah, no, it didn't want to seem like I was trying to flex by standing
Oh,
up.
okay. Well, typically at our age, when you sit down, you should make a noise.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I have the body of a 60-year-old.
Right, but that's when you stand up.
I do that at every movement.
Also, aren't you called Pyrion Flex? Aren't you flexing all the time?
I could do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Change the name. I thought that was a bit of a walloping.
Bit of a wallop.
But it was one of those things where there was that fight in the Radiant safe lane where the Terrorblade showed what he can do. Like the casters pointed out, this is how he can kite the Tiny and kill him. But you still got to deal with everybody else, and that was the problem. Is everybody else got what they wanted, and then it was like, you can kill one of us, but that's it. And that was pretty much every fight from then on.
That was the story of the game, at least from our perspective. Story of the game for Purge was the Viper pick.
Thank you, Shiva. Yeah, the Viper pick was really good. In most other regions, or at least in the NA region, you're seeing Viper often second phase banned because it is so good against Terrorblade. But because OG picked Tiny, they anticipate the TB coming, they pick Viper, then they get this great lane matchup. So Omar gets to stand in the creep wave, applying poison stacks to Crystallis, and he has to sit in the trees, not getting last hits at times, which is going to give OG more last hits and more advantage here. And after that creep wave pushes out, this is Crystallis approaching the creep wave at 2 minutes in. He gets 2 poison stacks, and he realizes he can't fight. Even though he's level 2 and he's got meta, normally he'd pop meta and just right-click his opponents, but he doesn't get that opportunity here. Omar gets a bunch of last hits onto the tower, and then once that creep wave pushes out, Taiga does a large camp pull because he was able to get that camp spawned. And then here comes the first meta, 3 minutes into the game, because they're like, oh, we're gonna get some damage into Taiga. He disengages, is able to survive and offset that with his healing salve, and then once again, Omar gets more last hits under tower. So TB basically doesn't get to lane in the way that he normally gets to. Omar ends up getting first blood here when Fishman approaches the creep wave and they collapse on him, giving him even more net worth advantage, and finally going to the tower here. Nether Toxin on the creep wave to clear it, so to help his creeps hit the tower. Taiga rotates over, they end up catching Crystallis here. They're gonna end up running him down, killing him, and Fishman tries to save his life too. They get a double kill out of this. So not only does he not get last hits, it fully cascades into Omar having a far better game than normal. And this was all off the back of the draft. They picked the Viper blind. They anticipated their opponents picking TB. They stomp him in the lane, and it leads into Tiny having a, let's do that, 1,200 net worth advantage here at the 10-minute mark, which lets Tiny pressure tower while TB's off in the jungle farming. Just really good drafting from OG and excellent execution as well.
Thanks, Purge.
Thank you, Purge. With that being said as well, I know that if OG was listening to that, the picks, they would also give credit to Javash there. We have talked to them multiple times. Obviously, they win a lot, so we talk to all the winners a lot. And they always say the preparation coming in is Misha and Javash, and it has been incredibly successful, the plans that they come up with. Can they do that 2 games in a row? We're going to find out because game 2 of this best of 3 series right around the corner.
Thanks, Purge.
Thank you, Purge.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage DJ Hellsmoke!
Game 2 right around the corner. Entity versus OG. A best of 3 is being played right now. OG is 1 game up, and that means Entity is 1 game away from being in a tie situation for elimination out of Division 1, and that is not where they'd like to be. They'd like to actually win this series, and therefore also, while doing that, taking OG a peg down. OG would like to win this series because that means they'll be #1 in the league, and they are on the right track. They were able to figure out Entity completely during game #1. Can they do it again here in game #2? We're finding out. I'm together with Pyrian, Flax, and Sunsven, and they're going to say a lot of smart things, so listen carefully.
Can I just interrupt this segment with a thought real quick? Have you ever, when growing up, just look at other people sometimes? You know, people can be judgmental, right? Of course, it's only natural. And I'm sure there's instances where all of us have grown up and thought, how could that person be so brainwashed to thinking this way, right?
Sure.
I now understand after listening to that motherfucking song every single day, constantly, that's all I can hear is electricity. God, I love it and hate it at the same time. I'm so torn. All right, just had to get that out. Thank you.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
Appreciate it.
See, as you get older, you do get angrier. But it doesn't feel good to get angry. I find. When I get really angry, I just feel bad. You should feel bad.
I feel great. I feel like a great weight has been lifted from my shoulders.
Are we the oldest 3 people in Stockholm for Dota at the moment?
In the whole of Stockholm?
No, like for the people that are here for the broadcast.
The oldest people in Stockholm?
No,
right
for
now?
Dota, for the broadcast.
I would say, in terms of people that work on Dota,
Like
as talent or casters,
Yes.
I am the oldest. Like, who's older than me?
Nahaz?
He's younger than me.
Nahaz?
He is younger than me.
So what are you trying to say, Shiver?
I'm thinking
trying
how...
to put all the oldies together?
Yes, I think that's exactly what happened.
This isn't even being broadcast. This game was played hours ago. They're just keeping us happy.
This is an experiment. See how often we can hear electricity before we destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
All right, so on to the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Very important match.
Yeah. They let Timbersaw through, and obviously they did it previous game as well, but this time OG will make sure to pick it up. That means we're going to have an Amar Timbersaw. That means that Entity, I mean, they have got to know what's coming, because Amar has been an absolute beast on his Timbersaw. We did see him lose 1 game on it against Secret, but generally there's a reason that this hero was always first phase banned against OG previous tour as well. It's because he's the best.
Yep, and they make sure to get the Bane so that Timbersaw doesn't have to worry about that garbage. I mean, that sets up for a ton of stuff, so just taking it away, essentially.
Timber's one of those heroes. Every time I play him, I think, man, I wish I could play this hero more. He's fun. And he is fun. My boy Greg is currently trying to learn to play him, and it's bad. That's the problem. If you don't know how to play Timber, it looks really, really, really bad, and you feel like an idiot, so it puts people off. So I'm looking forward to seeing this, because I'm going to try and pick up a thing or two.
I think the easiest tip from my expert knowledge of the subject, Pyrian, when people learn to aggro creeps to activate his passive, that's when you can take that first step into being, you know, from horrendous to just awful. Right. That's a big step to make, though.
You got to learn which trees can be timber chained to and from where pretty quick.
On which terrain.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all look quite different.
It's like learning the feel of how the ball's going to bounce off the cushion in a pool table. You got to get used to that.
You know what would be really cool? If you don't just have the singular skill on Timbersaw, but the team skill of Timbersaw. So you get a team filled with people that can place trees, like Hoodwink and Nature's Prophet.
Okay.
Yeah, but they might also, that
Make
means
a
you're
timber
going to
chain.
land a really sick timber chain and someone whacks a tree down in the way and you get
Yeah,
hit
no,
that
but that's what I'm
instead.
saying. It's a test of teamwork.
It is a test of teamwork. It's a
Yeah.
test of teamwork.
Unless you're thinking of one of those heroes for Entity so they can put a tree in the way and can't get out.
Block shit, yeah.
Block them.
But it does also mean that Timbersaw can cut down those trees.
What
so
was
you're
that?
only-
That's true.
What was that item? Was that the ironwood?
Ironwood branch, you
Ironwood
can
branch.
plant a tree.
No, the neutral. What was it?
Oh.
Mango tree.
Well, the mango tree was a tree. No, there was one that was you could just plant
Yeah.
trees
Oh,
every like
yeah.
6 seconds.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was like the greater iron. No.
Yeah, it was something like Greater Ironwood Branch or something like
I
that.
can't remember.
No, because that one was.
Someone in chat is screaming it in all caps right
You
now.
idiot!
How could you not remember the Greater Ironwood Branch?
Oh, that reminds me. Maybe they put us three on the panel to create a similar vibe of the Muppets. You know, the three old people.
Oh yeah.
There were
Lovely
two
show.
old people.
There were two. Well, there you go.
We're getting old. We don't
Congratulations.
remember. Just waiting for the wheelchairs to be wheeled out here as part of the prop.
One of the removed items was banana, apparently.
Oh, I love banana.
Neutral items, here we go.
All right, Marana. So you got the Nightmare into Arrow, the old classic. Very, very standard. Sets up a lot of kills in the laning stage, and I mean, it's not like a clockwork where you have to walk in. Obviously, you don't need level 6. You can just do this right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm hyped. We have not seen Taiga play Marana yet this entire tour, and I do agree with you that Taiga. I think Taiga was the MVP of previous game on his Clockwork, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with the Marana, because previously when he was still on Team Liquid, every time Marana was played, I believe it was Boxy because they swapped roles a little bit here and there. I mean, obviously he can play it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play.
But the one thing, I mean, the thing we praised OG for.
Yeah, one letter difference is fine.
Yep. The thing we praised them last game for was the amount of flexibility, where not so much this time, right?
True.
I mean,
I would
you
say
could
this is pretty
technically
straightforward.
put Timber mid. Marana could technically be a carry, but it's unlikely.
She's fun mid, honestly. You get the E-Blade on her and the Ags and stuff, but it's a pretty long stretch to get there.
What did you research? Did you come
No, I
up with
played
any-
her.
No, you were looking at
Did you find the tree?
neutral item.
I couldn't find a good list. I'll
Damn
look
it,
up later.
Pyrian.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, one.
The list
shot.
was too long and there was pictures. I just want a straightforward list and the name will jump out at me. So tweet at me at Suns fan.
At oldmandota.com/Twitter, https:// Monkey King picked by Entity. That's against the Timber Saw, so we're talking
That's a
about
weird
placing
one.
trees, but he does not like to be knocked out.
That's a yikes from me.
And he can turn into a tree, but you can't latch onto it. I wish
you
that
not?
was changed.
That
try
would be
it.
cool.
That would be cool.
fun. What if he, whilst he was turned into a tree, Prophet could turn him into a treant? And for the rest of the game, you controlled him as a treant.
That sounds like a Slacks idea.
That does, actually.
So automatically just say no.
Yeah, automatically default.
I mean, look
no
at what
on that one.
Wolfbite did to TI.
Right.
That was all Slacks. So Monkey King, you got your position 1 then. I mean, this is also, I mean, Pugna is the one flex for Entity. I guess it could be support, it could be mid, but we've been seeing a lot more as support lately, which... Rasta, my boy. All right, so this is likely a support, but in the NA scene, Gunner apparently plays this mid from time to time,
'cause it's
which
Pog.
doesn't translate at all to EU Dota.
Extremely
period.
Pog.
Different
Someone's
continent
watched.
entirely.
Yes, I know, but
100%.
someone's watched it and said, you know what, this Gunner lad's onto something. He must have seen Pyrian Flax's stream and watched him play Shadow Shaman mid and dominate with it. And
Very
he's
good.
taken it to the pros.
What's your build then? Exactly.
I love the shard.
You just wait for Shard at 15, 0 items?
Save that money up.
Okay. Blink, I assume, at some point?
No.
Ironwood tree.
Oh, okay, we were
Okay.
close. We said Ironwood Branch Tree or something.
It was pretty close. Ironwood tree.
Thank you, Shiver.
You're welcome. It gave you active plant tree, and it gave you +6 strength, +6 agility, and +6 int, which is pretty good. Tier 1 neutral item. That's OP.
Yeah,
Yes, it was fucking busted.
That's a lot of stats.
And
Hence, it's not in the game.
the one that's in the game still for some reason, what's the name of that one? The mana loss that everybody loves to get.
Diffusal Blade?
No, the neutral item.
Oh.
The one that people love getting on Storm Spirit. Man, I can't remember any of the names.
Can't remember the name.
I'm an analyst, by the way.
The Fairy Fire? Fairy's Trinket?
Yeah,
Maybe?
the trinket. Yeah, yeah.
The Fairy's Trinket?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty good.
It is good. All right, Kunkka. So that's your, in all likelihood, your mid laner. Although, depending on the matchup, Timber could be the mid still, and Kunkka going offlane. But likely Kunkka mid because he can actually farm the neutrals.
Yep, they have played Kunkka once so far this tour, and it was on Uragi. Then they had a Templar Assassin for mid for BZM, so they did play it as carry, but they absolutely are able to flex it wherever they feel like.
RGB rotation on the keyboard there, bro.
Hell yeah. All right, but this is a cool draft from Entity because now either Pugna or Shadow Shaman's almost guaranteed to be their mid laner, right? So likely looking for... I mean, Pugna still has a little bit. I've seen Pugna as an off-laner as well. It's just kind of weird.
As a 4, right? Not as a 3.
They've played Pugna mid
as a
before.
3?
In pubs, but
Yeah.
high-level pubs, of course.
Of course.
Like when you watch Cinder in stream, he just plays it no matter what position he's in.
Right.
He could be position 8, which he usually is,
Yeah.
and he picks Pugna.
Well, I do want to point out that the Monkey King. So at the moment, Crystallis has a pretty wide hero pool compared to last year. But last year, Monkey King, that was basically his hero puddle. He had one hero. That's the hero he got #1 in Europe on. It was the Monkey King. So I would imagine that will be the carry. I do think Pugna will probably be put in the mid lane, and that means that they once again save their overall last pick for Toby, the offlaner. And that's why we see OG focusing the Necrophos that he can play on the offlane. They'll take out the Viper as well.
And I want to see some Necro. It keeps getting banned in the last phase.
Yeah.
Very exciting hero. Most would
Well, he
agree
has
with.
been banned, unfortunately, for you.
Yes, it is sad.
Did you know Necro is the most successful hero in Western Europe? Division
Most
1.
successful. What does that
He
mean?
had like
exactly?
He has a career.
last
set up a
Saturday.
business.
The stats last Saturday were that it was 10 games played or 9 games played, only 1 loss.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
Very
good.
cool. I mean, that's another hero where the 15-minute shard has made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
he's a lot of
this
fun.
game, instead of analyzing the draft, I'm going to base it off of how good I think the shards are for each team.
Okay,
And that's who I'm going to go with.
Okay.
that sounds good.
What's Kunkka's shard?
Oh, boy. It's the tidal wave.
Is that the one that swooshes towards him?
Yes.
That's the tidal wave, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's
okay.
annoying.
So DK, another safe... Wait, is that an offlane DK? So it must be Pugna mid. Shadow
Yeah,
Shaman.
Pugna mid, offlane DK, I would say so as well.
Okay.
But we'll see when they pick their heroes up.
So
It's kinda
looking
tough
for a plus
for,
one here.
Pugna can't really get a good suck going here with Mirana and Kunkka and Bane around. It's going to be quite tough, but
Yeah. Well, position 1's available.
also to be fair, Shadow Shaman's going to find it hard to shackle people with Mirana and Kunkka.
You mean Rasta?
Sorry, Rasta.
Yes, sorry.
Dota 1 names only.
That's right. Bane Elemental. Can you guess who that is?
Was Kunkka just Admiral Kunkka?
Yeah, he was named after Kunkka himself.
Yep.
Who actually does not like the hero.
He doesn't?
No, I asked him. He was very sad about it.
Why?
Like, I tried to play it. It was an honor to be named after Kunkka. But
to be
don't like the
honest,
hero.
I can see that happening because he doesn't have control over whether it's going to be a carry or a support.
Yeah.
If you are a support player, yeah, you don't like playing Kunkka.
I mean, Kunkka has one of the best personalities in the game.
That's
I'd be
true.
More than happy.
That's true. He's so. I mean,
You could be Mirana, for God's sake, and they make an anime out of you. I mean, how terrible would that be?
Her persona, goddamn, she never shuts up.
Dude, her persona, I can't play her persona.
Sagan, Comey. Sagan. Sagan, Comey, Sagan, shut the fuck up.
It is so. I mean, I will criticize. I think it's fairly uninspired, and not like it's just the same sentences over and over again. BL coming out overall last pick there.
Okay.
But yeah, also not a fan of the persona from Mirana. I cannot play that. I have to unequip persona for voice lines.
Okay.
The Uragi Phantom Lance are coming out. BZM is on his Kunkka then. And it will be the offline Dragonite and the Pugna mid as we were expecting.
They don't really. I mean, they have Breathe Fire, they have Boundless Strike, they have Ether Shock, but once these illusions get really high octane, I don't know how they can deal with them.
Yeah, it's
Their
gonna be
life
tough.
drain only works on one, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you get the Shard.
Shackle one.
This could be a Pugna Shard.
This is very good. The shard game is very good here, but when if you're sucking and he does the whoop, whoop, whoop,
Doppelgang.
yeah,
Yeah.
when he comes back, you won't continue sucking. You've got to start
Right.
sucking again. So you have to get the Ags for it to be worth it, and that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So it's not
But
great.
it is a mid Pugna. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's worth getting it just for that, but maybe.
So based on shards alone, who won the draft?
I'll just say OG because I actually forgot I was going to say that.
Oh,
DK has probably the best shard out of all of them, but
Yeah.
overall for the team composition, I think
Mirana's
OG's
shard
like,
sucks.
yeah, hers sucks,
My sitting
Pugna
down
sucks,
noise.
but those are on opposite teams, so they kind of cancel each other out.
Sure.
Let's just say OG.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? Well, let's find out. Game 2 coming to you right now with Captain Jenkins.
Thank you so much, Cheever, Statler, and Waldorf. Loved their work on the Meat Boat and the Muppet Show.
I never watched the Muppets, so.
Mental faculties going down a little bit, though.
Is that the one with Bert and Ernie?
Sure. Let's go ahead and say that.
Okay.
Maybe you should join them in the bingo hall. It was
Big Bird.
a little rough. All right.
That guy's awesome. Anyway, we got to pause here. So.
We have a pause. We also have Uragi Phantom Lancer.
We
His
do.
most
We
played
do.
hero competitively.
Yeah. I'm pretty decent PL game, I would say. The Pugna Shard, one of the more overrated things against the PL.
Mm.
Yeah, you there. He's literally gone.
Yeah, he's
So,
not there at all.
That's not good. Go ahead and try to get that sorted.
Maybe he's playing on his knees.
Guys, that's possible. And maybe that's like his wife's chair, who when she sits and watches him play Minecraft, that's where she'll sit. He's mining diamond. It's very exciting.
I've had a weird obsession with Minecraft lately.
It's not an obsession. Go back to Dota. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
there he is.
We're
My
back.
boy. All right, hell yeah. Yeah, the Pugna, overrated. The Shard, the Pugna Shard, overrated. Pugna, not overrated.
Okay.
Very strong.
Why is the Shard overrated? Can you explain
Yes.
exactly? 'Cause
So here's
I was
what
trying to
happens.
listen to the comedy routine earlier.
Here's what happens, okay? Heal goes in,
Yeah.
6 illusions. Pugna puts the thing down,
Okay.
sucks it, kills the 6 illusions. He
Okay.
presses W, there's 3 of him again, hits once, 5 and 6 of him in a second, and then PL insta-kills the Shard with his illusions anyway. So it's like, it's one of those things where if you're a Pugna player, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be sick. You do it, you just walk in and die. It's really not that good.
So you're saying the Shard's only good if you have an Aghanim Scepter?
Nah, the Shard on Pugna is pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
It's super overrated.
All right,
but
fair enough.
Pugna, still OP. I mean, the Nether Ward, 25% damage, a spell damage reduction. I mean, that's just insane. That's just super strong. Monkey King also pretty good against PL, from what I've heard from Monkey King players out there. There's, of course, the old Battle Fury build, where when you ult, you're going to be cleaving all of the PL illusions. There's the Maelstrom build, which presumably is probably what he's going to be doing in this game. You clear the illusions fairly quickly. But so on both sides, there's answers. Like, we have Monkey King versus Timber as well. Obviously, favorable lane for the Monkey King, one of the classic counters to Timber. However, we have seen people. I remember Tundra actually picked Timber into Monkey King, and they just cut the wave. Level 3, they just cut the wave, and Monkey King is farms and Timber farms. So, yeah, there's answers both ways in this game.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly Entity tries to deal with some of those answers, because they can't afford to let Amar have that kind of laning phase, right?
No, and they have Enchantress, so I mean, this is arguably the strongest laner in the entire game. You're playing to Mirana, so the creeps are less of an issue, but even leveling up just the W for slowing and like going on Amar on Timber, like with the Monkey King, or leveling up the Q and just doing that harass damage with Enchantress, like those are both options that you don't really need the creeps necessarily on Ench to like dominate the lane.
Yeah.
Like, all of her spells are really good for lane domination. Of course, you still do want the creeps because you want to pressure early tower, stuff like that, but you can start Q, start with your heal, whatever. Oh, they're actually, okay. So they're dodging the Mirana matchup. And they have Pugna with the, or sorry, they have the Shadow Shaman. I like that. Shadow Shaman with Monkey King. A grip on Timber with the Monkey King Jingu, like that sounds really devastating for Timbersaw.
Yeah, this looks way better.
Surprised OG's not trying to rotate the Mirana towards the Enchantress. I suppose it's because Timber can be left alone eventually, and Mirana loves that. She can just go jungle, right? So,
Yeah, because, well, wasn't Taiga there at the start? I think he was at top lane at the very start of the game.
I don't remember the pause.
So I think they actively chose to have the Mirana down here. They're like, okay, they dodged the Enchantress Mirana matchup, but we still want the Mirana there.
Yeah.
And the reason you're saying makes a lot of sense, particularly with the Kunkka, who can set up an arrow very easily.
And a Bane in the other lane. Like, Mirana being off map is insanely strong in this game.
That's true.
If Mirana's off map, like, you have to be afraid in the other 2 lanes. And the only way you can be off map is if your core in the lane doesn't need you. Timber, as soon as he's level 3, doesn't need any help from any support.
What do you make of the overall, like, Stormstormer? It's his hero, Pugna, okay, but is Pugna core good right now compared to the support position? Because it just seems like support Pugna is so free.
It actually has a... so the win rate as 4 is low. The win rate as mid is, like, close to 50%.
Okay.
The win rate on 5 is, like, 58% in pro level pub.
Jeez.
So 5 Pugna, it seems to be the absolute best role for Pugna. Mid Pugna seems... okay, it seems decent.
Okay.
So because it's a specialty hero of his, probably it's viable in this patch, and so any specialty player is going to be happy when their hero is even viable. They'll make it work, so it'll be good. But yeah, 5 Pugna is like beyond busted, and I think it's with regards to like the build. I think the Glimmer and the Force Staff, that sort of stuff, is much better on Pugna. Just playing around, maxing out the Nether Ward instead of being a nuking type hero, playing around being a healer is better. And all of those things that I just mentioned, that's what 5s do.
Right. Seems like the lanes have started off pretty well for Entity here. Mid lane matchup seems to be a little hard for the Pugna. But otherwise, Monkey King's doing a pretty good job of keeping Amar down. Of course, Amar just got level 3, which is a pretty critical level for the Timbersaw.
Yep, and he went for 2 points in reactive instead of 2 points in Timber Chain. So that means if he did want to go cut, he can go do that now. But the problem is the W is so inefficient at level 1 in terms of the mana cost that it's hard to actually kill the creep wave if you cut. So you need like level 4 now to do that.
Yeah.
And this lane is, I mean, this is going to be a snooze fest, at least for the side of...
I mean, that's any lane with the Dragon Knight.
Yeah,
I hate this hero, man.
He just farms.
He's so boring.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other hero that can be, in Dota, in his side lane that could be pretty easily left alone because you sit there and hit him and he just doesn't take damage. And if he does, he heals it. So
yeah, there's these times where it's like, oh, look how many denies this Dragon Knight has. And then you remember, it's literally free. He just Dragon Tail stuns you and he can right click the creep wave twice.
Yeah.
Before you
times.
Like how can you possibly beat that as a core?
You can't.
When it comes to that CS, you can't.
You can't.
No.
It's he's impossible to harass as well. Mars actually... his read on this lane is that he can stay versus the Monkey with level 2 reactive, which is interesting because I don't know, it's a tough read. I mean, against Ursa, I don't think that would work. Depends on the skill points, but he actually is pretty tanky with the Soul Ring armor as well. Like that matters.
Yeah, certainly.
Timber's like super based on these like damage thresholds where you have like enough armor, enough regen to sustain through something.
So it's super important for him to constantly keep max reactive armor stacks.
Yes.
Which, whenever he gets chased away from the creep wave, it's going to feel kind of bad.
Yeah. This is a tough lane to play, but, I mean, it's one of the classic counters, so Amar has played this one, like, so many times at this point. Like, any Timber main has played against Monkey Kings and Ursa, like, almost every game.
Yeah.
Because carries get last pick in pubs.
Holding in the Mirana, and they actually get this kill. They do have the Kunkka coming in, but the boat is going to be a little off the mark, or not there in time, rather. Chrysalis picks up the first blood. He is going to be pulled back to his doom, but still, the fact they got a first blood, despite the BCM rotation, is going to feel okay for Entity. Misha now going to be in some trouble. He's going to be stunned up and killed. So they at least kind of even out those kills.
Yeah, 2K gold lead, just like that.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
Wow, and Stormstormer in the meantime, too. He's just kind of chilling mid, not actually doing any damage to the tower. Hasn't even hit it once, surprisingly. He's just opting to kill the easy camp instead.
Yeah, Amar, he's not level 5, so I'm not sure if they could actually do anything about the Timbersaw anymore. Yuragi, though, he has had some serious trouble. Look at his net worth. He is bottom of all the cores right now, and that's just because Toby is able to get so many denies against him via the Dragon Tail. Tomi's constantly harassing him as well.
In my opinion, he's stunning him and then denying, so...
yeah, that is probably a good assumption.
That will be a way of getting guaranteed denies there, so...
It is free every time.
Yeah, and on both side lanes, or both off lanes, I should say, you can see Toby's getting excellent levels, like almost level 6. And man, he's even maxing Dragon's Breath, which is what a lot of people are doing these days instead of maxing the passive. Just because Dragon's Breath, it recently got buffed. It does 20 more damage at max level. So one shot's range creeps, great for harass too.
Certainly, and that's where URAGI's probably been suffering a little bit. Misha does barely stay alive, but as Toby is closing in on that level 6, not having the support in lane is going to feel real bad for URAGI. They're going to need a little bit of help here, and that's why BZM's going to come in, and without those higher levels of the passives, he is going to die. So that is the downside of going for the 3-1-1 build, is that it does leave you a lot squishier.
For sure, for sure.
Taiga. Arrow going to be thrown out, dodged by Chrysalis, but of course the Shadow Shaman couldn't do anything about that one. And Amar, he has 3 levels of reactive armor. You're just not killing him with this lane anymore. And they got to stop thinking about, oh, what a play. They actually pop the glyph. Chrysalis gets 0 heal out of that one. He needs a little bit of time to be able to jump into the trees, but he can't quite get it. The arrow lands, and they've got him dead as well. Big pickup, as now Amar getting revenge for all that harassment early is easily winning the lane.
I gotta say, if anybody wants to learn Timbersaw, this is a really great game to look at for how to play the hero. Like, there's high-level stuff happening in this game because you have a guy who, he's a Monkey King specialist. So he's played against Timber a million times. And you have a Timber specialist who's played against Monkey King a million times. And we're seeing how Timber can actually beat Monkey King. And it's not through wave cutting, which we've seen in a lot of these like unfavorable Timber matchups. I think their reasoning that he can just be in the lane and play normally is that they have Mirana, who can go jungle, and so Amar's getting solo XP, and so it's really hard for they can never kill him because he just has too many levels. Like,
he also secures the range creep without being in like he
XP
can just
range.
throw out the arrow, right, and Timber takes it all.
Right. So Monkey King can't get the XP advantage because I think in that matchup, if Monkey King has like +1 level in Jingu compared to the reactive armor, you just go on him and he dies through his regen. The Timber will die. But it looks like, for me, like I always cut when I'm against a Monkey King, but in this situation, like he actually just knows that he has enough regen given the level advantage that he has, which is really interesting.
Oh, Katomi's not going to get away in time. That boat is going to land. They secure. Oh, he did manage to deny the bounty rune.
Nice.
Play Katomi.
Nice.
It's the spiteful support play.
Yeah, literally worth it. Worth his death for the, you could argue the creep could just be there, but no, that's what you want from an Enchantress, to be positioning up aggressively like that. The only problem, the only downside to that is that was a Mirana that's like in the 4 position. He was getting, he was in the winning lane.
Yeah.
Then again, most Enchantress lanes win. But she's doesn't necessarily want to run in and die like a 5 does.
I'm a little bit surprised that Chrysalis still wants to play this lane out. I thought he would rotate to top after they've taken that tower, but he continues to play against the Timbersaw. Maybe they're going to get a rotation from Stormer sometime, who has, we haven't actually seen him on screen for a while, but I feel like he's just been chilling mid lane. And if he's going to be doing all that chilling, he can't afford to die here. Unfortunately, the arrow doesn't land. His extra bit of movement speed that Apugna has allows him to dodge that one. They're going to get the Bane kill as a little bit of revenge for Stormer. So he took the mid tower. They've taken the top tower. Katomi, well, BZM may not have gotten the mid kill, but at least he'll get the Enchantress again.
Once again, that's not really what you want to see from your Enchantress if you're position 4. Like, dying as a 5 like that is a lot more okay. But as a 4, they're going to end up with 2 5s this game, basically, because of this. Like, Enchantress falls off like crazy. He has no leaps.
No leaps left, so they do get the Mirana kill. Amar, though, is easily able to get away, so this is...
Holy shit, that was... They're all at the same time, FPS. Cool.
That's weird, because I haven't even seen Wukong's command being used.
Yeah.
That's usually...
That is usually what does
Usually
it.
everybody's PC all, chugs down in FPS because of that spell.
Just Fishman. Hey, can Fish... What FPS do Fish see in? Because, the human eye can only see 6 FPS. That's what I've heard. And so Fish probably see, like, geez, they...
Well, it depends on whether or not they're underwater or not. Underwater, it's probably like 60 FPS, but...
Well, there's not even frames happening
like not
underwater.
in the water.
You Can't even see underwater.
No, there's more frames happening in the water because
Why?
there's all the textures everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
I use big words like texture.
Yeah, that is a pretty big word. It's 7 letters.
Yeah. Speaking of 7 letters,
Uh-huh.
Amar having a really solid lane down here on the bot lane. Almost has his full hood. It basically looks like he's not countered. That's not him.
All right, Fishman's ready to go.
That was Fishman. He's not a fish. I was tricked.
No, it's not.
Rocky just chilling in the trees like he's a support. That's not what you want to see.
No, it's not. Then again,
that is what you want to see.
You don't want to see your Dragon Knight. I don't know. Entity's like insistence to play 3 cores in 3 lanes, kind of like the way OG was doing
the
last
OG.
game. They're feeding away some kills.
They're doing the OG right now.
Yeah, now Crystal's is gonna die bottom lane.
Yep.
Boat coming in, hits a nice 2-man stun, but he can't get away from the Chakram, not when he's that low.
You know, more often than not, this is what you see from the Timber versus any of these counters matchup. They're gonna get a Bane. I mean, it's something, that's for sure.
That is something. It's not nothing.
No, but there are very little shits to give, I think, from Misha in that in this situation when you're position 5.
Is the lack of shits due to constipation, or
that would be due to on account of being a Bane position 5, not constipation. Although this is what you want to see from Shadow Shaman.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
Shadow Shaman wards, not a bug. Not a bug, it's a feature.
No, of course not. They are meant to do this amount of damage to Roshan.
Yes.
And okay, so this is nice because you were talking about Entity playing 3 lanes. The reason they're doing this is because they did very well in the lanes, right? So they want to take some advantage off of the map. But there are no towers to get. God knows you're not going to push a tier 2 at this time. That's a great way to feed. But Roshan, when you have those Serpent Wards, that is a play. Very nice call by them. That is a Shadow Shaman pervert, as I like to call them.
Why is he a pervert?
Because it's sick. These people, so you know that they get off to taking Roshan. They're just like, oh yeah, we can do this, guys. It's like, yeah, dude, we know. Relax. We've all seen the goddamn Reddit clips, all right? But these guys, like, they think they're, they think they're hot shit.
I thought there were no shits to give.
That would be OG. That would be OG. So
okay.
the other side is
So
fine.
it's no shits versus.
What do you think Fishman went AFK for? He's the one who came back and roached. He was probably reading Reddit. Holy shit, Shadow Shaman can take Roshan. 12 minutes.
He put up a Reddit thread real quickly. Playing against OG right now needs some advice. And some Redditors are like, did you know that Serpent Wards actually do double damage to the Roshan now?
Wow. It's a feature, not a bug. Very funny joke, Redditor.
Uh-oh, no. Those are illusions. Okay. He does have the stun to stop this, and he didn't actually break Wukong's command, but they also seem to have caught Fishman. Now, the rest of the team is coming in of Entity. They're going to make sure their Dragon Knight's going to be okay, but they need to get Crystallis out of here, and he's being slowed down by Uragi so much. Fortunately, there is the Decrepify, but the BKB, a BZM, he wants to keep going. Crystallis does manage to dodge backwards, get away from the Torrent, but he can't get the lifesteal up in time. Toby's out of mana. Fortunately, Katomi does manage to get a kill out of this, but the arrow!
Ooh, yeah, baby.
He didn't see that coming in time. The trees hid the ascent of the arrow straight into his behind, and now Toby is going to be running to the trees, not where you want to go against Timbersaw. Panic, panic, panic indeed. Entity seemed to be panicking a little bit against OG, losing a terrible fight.
I know it was at the tail end of that fight where Dragon Knight, like, he's going to die anyway, but man, Timber is just so good against, like, pretty much every offlaner that people are picking these days. Every offlaner, who am I kidding? It's Sand King and Dragon Knight. But, if you want one of these, like, standard offlaners, there's a Timber in the game. He just nullifies the fact that, like, they're supposed to be, quote-unquote unkillable. Timber's just like, all right, well, here's pure damage and percentage damage.
Yeah.
So finishes the kill on the Bane, but you can see that Enchantress, like, without the levels, man, without the farm, like, he's pretty weak.
Back inside the game, they're trying to get the fast kill onto BZM. Earlier, he had used his BKB, so it's still on cooldown. A good opportunity for Stormstormer to collect an important kill. And he does have the Aegis, and he's certainly going to need it, as Mar seems to be trying to go for him right now. They do have the side. Misha, okay, that's a freebie. Yeah, I think he was fooled by Amar, who was going in deep. And he was like, oh, I got you, brother. I'll go in with you. No, Amar was just timber chaining through.
Yeah, he's pretty safe to get in and out. But, you know, I think BZM dying, that's the real issue there for OG. Really great call from Entity. No, just like capitalizing on that. Honestly, pretty short BKB cooldown. I mean, that's an OP item right there. Like, it's really good. Yeah. So just like capitalizing on that, it's something you don't really see that often. Like, people try, but
I feel like it's something they had to do.
Yeah.
I don't really think we were getting much effect out of this Pugna until that kill right there on the Kunkka. Now they've killed the Bane as well, but they still have this Aegis to use. It just doesn't feel like they can actually win team fights despite the Aegis advantage. And
no.
They're going to leave Katomi behind. He's going to be pulled back into the Torrent Arrow. Still not enough. Actually, with the heal from long range, Stormer helping out his buddy there. Chrysalis barely getting way into the trees, away from those illusions. Got to be careful of them. Stormer continuing to challenge OG because he has that extra life.
He is low mana now, though, so they could honestly just like leave him at low mana, which seems to be what they're doing. They're kind of ignoring him in the fights, which I think makes sense. I mean, even if Stormer did die and come back, I feel like as a Pugna, it's
very easy to just die again.
You're probably just going to die again, yeah. So it's like, it's really a safety Aegis where like he can run around and do crazy shit, and he's not going to get ganked. But if we're talking like a full 5-on-5 team fight and he goes down, like, yeah, he's probably not coming back from that.
Well, it does look like Stormer, the aforementioned Pugna specialist, is going to be going for a shard, so...
Yeah?
I'll be expecting apologies from you and Suns fan shortly.
Listen, I think you probably still do it, but it's just not as sick as people think. If it constantly, like, re-triggered on the illusions, it would be really good.
No, that would be extremely good, yeah.
It's just the fact that it just happens once in the whole AoE. Now, the AoE is very big, though. It is deceptively large. That's what she said.
No, that's not.
Sorry about that.
9-13, a slight lead for OG right now, and Entity seemed to be kind of... Well, I thought they were going to be resetting. It seemed like they were like, okay, let's just farm up our next round of items, but they're going to go for a 3-man smoke here. Not really showing any heroes on the map. You could see Amar, he's got some bells ringing his head, warning him to back up because, again, nobody's showing. They've got some very deep wards on OG. Look at that. They've got a mid-deep ward that's right next to the Tier 1 tower. They've got a triangle ward as well. Entity isn't showing on either one of those.
Yeah, they don't see anything.
It's
they
like
see nothing.
A huge smoke flag.
I mean, yeah, that's a very, very long, thick
look at that
flag.
They are here.
Yeah, there's a... Yeah. he knows. He knows.
He's like, I'm not going to lane until one of you shows. They've even got a very deep ward now in the top lane as well, so after their mid ward died. So you continue to have two very, very deep wards that give them good idea, and Entity just refusing to give up are going to hold this position in the lane, and they're going to try and test to see if anybody gets sloppy on the side of OG. If not, they'll just take this tower.
That's definitely one thing that Entity has going for them in this draft, is the amount of ways of taking towers that they have. Every one of their heroes, other than Monkey King, it has some like strong tower push ability, and they don't even need to commit to it. Like Pugna can poke, and Shadow Shaman can throw Serpent Wards from far away, and DK is insanely strong, and Enchantress can use the creep. BZM is cutting a creep wave. I see. They do see him.
You can see the arrow actually just kind of fishing. You know Chrysalis is somewhere around.
Yeah.
DreamOG is going to be going for Escati next, has the Diffusal plus Manta. So offensively, he's a dangerous threat, but can still get bursted pretty easily.
Yeah, there's a lot of like unmantable disable from Entity, like all of the Shadow Shaman spells, the Monkey King, Boundless. I mean, you can time it, DK stun as well. This stuff is really difficult to Manta. The Manta, like you said, really is just for doing tons of damage, and also not showing on lanes when you want to push, like just sending the Manta illusions down lanes. Yeah. That really helps too.
Well, OG once again have like 3 cores that can play, are very tanky and are hard to gank and can play independently. BZM, They're going to try and pull him back, but they actually hexed up Kunkka. Couldn't quite do it. Yuragi's going to close in for the kill, but the Fiend's Grip on the side might net them an extra one as the boat does manage to land. Toby in trouble. Decrepified, healed a little bit, but Stormstormer can't commit. Not in the face of this Phantom Lancer illusions. Yuragi quickly deals with the ward. Now turns back to the Enchantress. Pull back again. The Dragonite arrow coming in. Toby dodges it, but they're just barely keeping him alive, and there's no response from Entity. They are crumbling in this fight, and just hero after hero is falling.
The problem, like, Stormstormer, those were amazing saves in that fight. That looked great. It looked great, but who the hell does the damage if he's not the one doing the damage, if he's saving?
Yeah.
Like, you can only use those spells aggressively or defensively. So, I really, I think they need his damage. By the way, I love Amar's build. He actually went only 3 points in reactive. Like, he went reactive up until the point that the lane was won, and then he's just maxing the nukes.
Yeah, that is cool.
I think that's pretty cool. Does he have attributes or anything? No attributes. But he did go for the talents over reactive.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You know, I like that. I actually really like that, because if you take the tier 1s, you're probably doing that with reactive level 3. Like, you don't need reactive level 4 to tank those, really.
No.
And where you'd want reactive level 4 is like if you're pushing tier 2s or high ground, but in Dota these days, man, that takes a long time before you push tier 2s, especially high ground too, like 2 Roshans sometimes. I mean, this time it's going to be 2 Roshans for sure, because this is the second one. So, yeah, nice build. Cool build.
So Stormstormer did buy out the shard. I was curious to see if he actually did that, and he did. So it means they can give the shard to somebody else. Arrow coming in is actually going to hit Roshan. The Torrent's coming in as well. OG, can they get there in time? Yuragi, oh, Toby intercepts. Nice stun. 2-man from the Monkey King as well, and they get a lot of good bird damage. Misha's going to get burnt out as the Enchantress finishes him off with the impetus. Now the Monkey King jumping in for more. Really wants the kill on Yuragi, and does get it. One swipe is good enough. And he still has the Aegis, so he's going to look for even more. Managed to get the kill up on Taiga. Now the Shackles holding down the Kunkka. A second Roshan turns into a massive team fight for Entity, cleaning up on all sides. I was getting pretty concerned that they were not going to be able to get past this whole tier 1 and doing Roshans. Like, when are you guys actually going to press the advantage? But what a sick fight from them.
Yeah, that double stun with the Pugna suck. I mean,
yeah, true.
That makes the shard look really good. Like, the shard actually looked really good in that fight. He did a solid amount of damage to both the Bane and the PL there. Yeah, that double stun, just beautiful. All the DK damage as well. Even his splash damage, because he's the red dragon. Like, all of this added up was just enough to push Yuragi back, and he ends up going down.
That's a really good point, because I was a bit concerned, like, okay, what is this, like, Phantom Lancer look going late game? But if DK can keep, you know, scaling upwards, right? He always does pretty well against Phantom.
It's pretty good, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, PL likes taking long fights, and, I mean, DK's one of the best heroes in the game for taking long fights. He has a passive that gives him armor and a regen, and he's got this damage, splash damage over time, a damage over time ability from his Aghanim shard, damage reduction from his Q. He's got a low cooldown stun. Like, yeah, DK seems pretty good. I would wager that, like, if you look at Dota buff, he's probably in the top 50% of win rates versus PL, I would say.
Well, especially given how that laning phase went.
Yeah.
You know, if he can scale up to face a Phantom Lancer later on to the game, and he does well in the laning phase, it's a strong combination. But it is still OG, despite that massive swing of a big team fight, plus claiming Roshan. It was a clean team fight, too. I'm not sure if Entity lost any heroes in it. They are actually still up in net worth on the OG side. Is there any big timings that we're going to be looking forward to? Looks like Phantom Lancer not going for the Scotty and going back for the Heart, so that'll obviously be a really big one. He already has the Reaver.
Yeah, so I'm surprised he's not going for the Scotty. I feel like it's really good against the DK, Pugna, Monkey King, all life. I mean, Enchantress as well. But that just shows you how much he's valued.
Oh! How did you do that?
I don't know how they...
Oh, they had the Harpy.
Oh my God, that's how I was sitting there thinking, like, that ward.
Yes, I was looking at the same ward. I was like, there's
ward.
No way.
Like, where the hell's that vision coming from, bro? Is that a glitch? No, it's the Harpy. It's the Harpy.
Yeah.
But the Heart is because he's afraid. He's just melting. Like, he's melting in these fights. He needs to survive at 10% HP, and doppelganger out and heal up and then go back in, like play the long fights.
Oh, they just caught Amar. This is a really big kill. They've got the disables to keep him inside the Wukong's command. No save whatsoever. In fact, the Bane's going to be caught on top of this. So nice two-man kill as Entity take that top tower, very quickly sweep through bottom lane, catches Amar out of position. And now they're going to start exerting a little bit of a stranglehold on the map.
Yeah, I mean, OG's kind of crumbling under the pressure of Entity here. Like, I know the net worth lead is still like slightly in favor of OG, but I mean, in the last few fights, it just hasn't seemed like they can do anything. They don't seem to have the damage to deal with the Entity heroes. Like, they just have too much healing and too much lifesteal, like, for the same reasons we talked about Scotty being decent. It's just, they just don't. And now Entity does have the damage on a few of their heroes. Even the DK we saw do a significant amount of damage there. So, yep, split pushing is going to be the name of the game for OG, it looks like. They need their PL to start doing damage. So, looking for just levels at this point. He has the heart. He's going for the Scotty next. So that'll help.
I don't know. I feel like this, if they get an Aghanim Scepter on this Monkey King, anywhere he lands, there's just going to be constant, like, AoE damage with the Maelstrom and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
They've got the Fireball on the ground. They can use the Life Drain once with the Ward combination to clear out a Thing of Illusions. So even if that's forcing him to use the Doppelganger and then follow up with something else after that, it really does look like Entity are in a very promising position. But we'll see whether or not OG has a game plan after this Aegis, right? Because that's part of it, right? They've been forced to remain passive.
Yeah,
extra life.
It just adds too much advantage that you can just wait and maintain the same level of farm. Like, why not just do that and then fight when you know the advantage is even, at least. One thing I did notice, by the way, in that Roshan fight that was the huge game changer for Entity is Stormstormer's spam pinging his Nether Ward. So he's clearly communicating to actually fight in the AoE of the suck around the Nether Ward, and that's why we see these double stuns and stunning the heroes near it. Like, as a team, and it doesn't surprise me because he's such a prolific Pugna player, but they know how to play around the new Pugna shard. They're respecting it a lot, which when you're mid Pugna, that makes a lot of sense because he's doing actual damage. Where is that X? Okay, it's somewhere. Yeah, it's hard to tell there. There he goes.
We'll get the tier 2. And we'll see how they try and catch OG, because they do have their BKBs, right? They lost the Aegis, but they got BKB on Monkey King. They've got BKB on the Pugna now. So they feel very strong about team fights. Particularly in team fights, as you were saying, around the ward. That's their whole lineup, right? They've got Serpent Wards, they've got the Pugna Ward, they've got Wukong's Command,
yeah, put it all
they've
in
got
one
Fireball.
Spot. Yeah,
it's like, we just want to fight in one area.
You're totally right. You're totally right. OG wants to play fights in very large areas. Well, then again, I mean, they do have boat, but they peel, like they've timbered, peel. Like, these heroes want to draw out fights. They can, run up high grounds. They can do the kind of Scooby-Doo style chase. Like, that's what they're looking for on the side of OG. Because you definitely don't want to
fights.
Yeah, dude.
That's a good way to describe that.
Thank you.
You're talking about the hallways in the doors.
Yeah. The door, some door openings. Freaking Shaggy there. Somehow he's over here. Next minute. Yeah, that's what they're looking for.
Doink scoop. 2K lead now as Entity just passively pulling up a bit more, but not necessarily fully shutting OG out.
No.
As we are going to see the Aghanim Scepter next for Dragonite. We continue to talk about that scaling. What's our Kunkka doing, though? He's also going to be trying to turn into a right clicker. He's going to be going for the Silver Edge.
Yep, and Amar, Aghanim Scepter, is on the menu for him tonight. So he's looking to do some damage. And
he's like, okay, you're going to lower my spell damage by 25%.
I'll double. I'll double.
I will double my damage.
Yeah. I mean, these days it is more frequent that you see the Aghanim Scepter get picked up. The Chakram's been buffed, I think, a couple of times in terms of damage. The pass-through damage, it's very good in general. But in this game, it does feel like it does really feel like they lack damage to kill the Entity heroes currently.
Yeah.
But they're ready. They're ready to go.
Arrow cutting across.
They
big
got him.
catch. That is a Shadow Shaman kill. Potentially, Yuragi actually scared to commit there. Backs out. The Moonlight Shadow trying to protect some of these heroes. Misha is going to be jumped on, though, as Chrysalis and the Serpent Wards are all down. They want to be able to keep this Phantom Lancer in place, but he does manage Doppelganger away. Toby's still sticking to him, though. Amar, they got to focus one of these targets. Looks like maybe Amar's going to be the target as they go through the Timber Chain. Now the Wukong's command. He's surrounded. They keep him inside. It'll be a kill, but they can't quite get him. Trying to chase even farther. Doesn't get very far with that Timber Chain, but Entity back to the Wukong's command. Got to remember their idea of staying in one place. They cannot get separated too much chasing after Amar, and now they have to give up and fight entirely. The Eul Scepter picked up by Amar does net them a kill onto Katomi.
Awkward synergy between the Monkey King and the Pugna. It's one of those games where, and this is why I think Pugna Core is a lot harder to play than Pugna Support. And has a lower win rate. Is like, he wanted to Decrepify there to do damage because it's like they almost need his Decrepify damage to kill Amar, but then also you probably want your carry Monkey King hitting at the same time too. So
yeah,
I guess the play is just probably wait until like there's at least a DK stun or something and 3 heroes surrounding Amar, because that was a little scattered. Like the DK stun came out later after Stormstormer was in the back and he wasn't there. So like I think if you want to kill Amar, you need to do it in a way more like structured way, where it's like, okay, we have these 3 heroes, let's go. Or he's isolated and the other heroes are dead or something like that, because he's just looking real tanky.
No, yeah, he certainly is.
Hard to gauge with Timbersaw. I mean, that's like one of the more annoying things dealing with the hero is like, you know you're not supposed to focus him, but if he's too far out of position, you have to punish that. You have to be like, let's go on this guy, but sometimes he knows he's not out of position.
OG luring them around the Roshan area and are actually going to go out and try and force a fight. Now, the DK is not the best target. Katomi, though, dropped dangerously low. Arrow slips on by. Katomi, fortunately, does manage to get enough heal. He's going to be okay, but you got to be aware of that Tidebringer hit. Misha actually steps maybe a little bit too far forward here. Caught by the Shadow Shaman, and I like that play. Fishman drops the ward and then plays the distance. Doesn't want to get caught by any OG heroes.
That was super nice.
Good. Okay, Amar does have the BKB, does a healthy amount of damage. But the rest of the team doesn't feel super comfortable going for this one, and it looks like they're going to start backing up, retreating. They just throw the illusions out, do what mana burn they can.
That's usually how the Pugna ward goes. Is that.
Yeah. So the explanation was they weren't around the wards
when he first
started it.
Yeah,
and they got in the area.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't.
It does nothing.
Yeah.
So we're looking for another double stun before he sucks the ward. That's like what you're looking for.
Can they get this Monkey King into the pit? They've got the Wukong's command, but they cut down the tree. Amar catches him. They're committing for the Roshan right now. BKB's going out. The boat goes down. Roshan's still not dead. It's going to be up to this Dragon Knight, but he's actually being feed script. They're going to kill him, and the Aegis immediately picked up, and Chrysalis still is not into the fight, truly, is Stormstormer and Chrysalis. Oh, no. Now that's going to be Wukong's command, but Stormstormer, he's nowhere near it. He's trying to get himself away from these heroes that just chase him down. OG, thanks to Amar, that could have been a disaster if he got off the Wukong's command while they were finishing up Roshan, but instead OG collect all the goods.
Yeah, he didn't, I mean, Monkey King's fine. He didn't die, nothing, you know, he's chilling, but he's the guy. He's the guy that's supposed to be setting up for that Roshan, right? Like, he's the reason that it's so difficult to fight in the pit, is that he drops the Wukong's command. So, yeah, cutting that tree, crucial there. Just like a small play. Great patience from OG, too. Like, they're doing the Scooby-Doo thing. They're doing the Scooby-Doo thing. Like, they're not like, hard committing to areas anymore. That Roshan looked like maybe it was going to be that, where they are punished for being in the pit, but because of the tree cut, it didn't happen. It didn't pan out that way.
Yep.
And with that, we have a 9K gold lead for OG.
Yeah, it's funny how Entity were winning fights, but the net worth never really spiraled out of control. OG wins one team fight and just completely goes out. I'm not sure if that's just because of the farming speed of Phantom Lancer.
To be fair, it's the Roche. Like, they got, let's see, I mean, Cheese gives, what, 1,000 net worth at this point? And then the Roche kill as well is giving a lot of net worth, and the kills in front of Roche. It's really just like one fight. The fact that that was a fight that they won in the later stages of the game, I think.
Aghanim Scepter now complete for the Monkey King. We're about 1,000 gold away from Ags on the Dragon Knight. So there will be some big timings coming in the way of Entity, just not in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, the move slow from the Black Dragon will be really important, actually, for just all the PL illusions and the cleave, the massive amount of cleave.
Well, they're actually forcing things right now. I don't think Entity expected this much OG aggression. That's going to be a tier 3 down before anybody's really here to respond. They do catch the real Phantom Lancer with its Decrepify. But Storm's having a hard time dealing with these illusions, constantly harassing him. The Crystalist does barely dodge. Once again, another tree drop might have led to his death. Range Barracks goes down. Let's see if OG wants to keep this up.
Remember we asked Tundra, by the way, in an interview. Just sitting there sucking the ward. Yeah.
Decrepify the ward.
The problem with this, like, you have to put the ward just in the middle of them. So you're threatening the ward just dying. So this is weird. This is weird.
Really, I mean, the Decrepify keeps working, but they just, it's done a little outside of the range of Entity. They don't want to go too far, particularly not for a hero that has an Aegis, so.
The Monkey King illusions are really helping out here, too, for the high ground defense. The fact that he's been able to stay there for long enough that he just has the 3 or 4 constant illusions up, it's really hard to push into that. And then the ward as well, the Decrepifies. It looks so goofy, but it legit, like, it holds the high ground for them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a worse version or a late game version of pushing into a Venomancer. You either do it now, or you know, if you give him enough time to set up wards, it's like, okay, it's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sleep, OG. Are they going to all in for this one? No. He's got a Force Staff to get him away. So it'll just be a tier 2. Still have another minute with these Aegis, so if they want to keep this going, would make a lot of sense. Feels like it's very hard for Entity to really stop this Phantom Lancer and punish him heavily. Starts going for the ward, quickly kills it. He's getting pretty low thanks to this Monkey King, but the Nullifier going out, BKB activated by Crystallis. Uragi's first life is still up. He's trying to go for Toby right now. Toby is going to turn around. They're charging up the targets. I'm not sure if this is going so well for Entity at all, as Amar just goes in with his BKB. They are still yet to clear out this Aegis. They finally might be able to, once again, Decrepify. A little bit of anti-synergy. The Monkey King doesn't do anything. Uragi, yes, they finally kill the first life, but your buybacks are going to be wasted here. It's now a dead Monkey King for 2 minutes. Toby's not going to make it back to the fountain either. He can buy back, but what's the point? You don't have your Dragon form. Storm's going to get cleaned up, and just like that, the game is done. OG. Yeah, GG. Call it now.
All right. Dude, Uragi in that fight. Such an annoying PL player, actually. Like, if you're playing against that, it's infuriating. Like, it's easy for us to see, which the real PL is. Like, we see everything, right? But if you look closely at his micro, he looked like a goddamn illusion. He looked like an illusion. He was running in like like he's crazy. Like 10% HP, running in anyway, moving illusions, running them away. Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason.
It's very annoying.
His most played hero. 60% win rate in competitive matches. It's really good at it.
It's funny because like you have to look. The dumber you look as PL, the more of a literal AI bot like illusion that you look like. It's just being microed by like the computer. The better. You couldn't tell there was a human behind the PL now.
So you can't. So it could be 1K MMR, 10K MMR, the same play.
The 1K MMR PL actually micros better. Like you have to unlearn stuff to micro PL because it makes it hard to determine what the illusion is. But
I've been doing too many Herald reviews.
Yeah, I really have. But I mean, all the players on OG, they've played really well this game. Amar supposed to be hard countered. Obviously, completely popped off in that game. BZM. The lanes did not go so well for OG, and he still was able to, keep things together to the point where Amar could hit that nice tree cut at the Roche pit, and that Roche just changes the whole game. After that, they have a 9K gold lead, and they never looked back.
Yeah. Seems like OG were able to claim victory here both ways, right? From the lead off of the laning phase, and also, I wouldn't say fully behind, but, they were at least a little bit out.
They were losing. They were losing. It wasn't out of control, but they were definitely losing at that point. So.
And OG really proving why they may be the top dog of Western Europe. It's a nice 2-0. We're going to close it out here, talk to the panel, do a post-game interview, all that sort of thing.
What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
In the mix right now. With DJ 31. Killing the ones and twos. It's DJ Set It Off. Brand new. Yeah, he makes your body rock. DJ D-Rock is in the mix. Haters, step back. DJ, spin that. DJ Willie D's in the building.
The second game of this best of 3 series between OG and Entity goes the way of OG, making OG top seed of Division 1 at the moment. We got ourselves a 2-0 in favor of them. That means that Entity, unfortunately for them, are forced into a tiebreaker scenario with Brain. And they will play a tiebreaker for survival in Division 1 next tour round. Tiebreaker will probably take place on the Thursday. But how did Entity get there off a back of a game like this? That's what we're gonna here to discuss, because this game actually started out quite well for Entity, period.
Did it?
Yeah, they did okay on all the lanes.
They did okay. I honestly, I thought I hadn't seen a Mars Timbersaw before. I'll happily admit that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
he is so good on that hero. And looking at the draft, I was thinking, you know, they've got quite a few ways to mess with everything that Entity wanted to do. They've got Mirana Arrow to interrupt Shackles or Pugnasuck. You've got like this Timbersaw to cut down trees. Even the Mirana Arrow giving you vision of where the monkey is. There was just so many things that they could do to counter what they had. And the PL, I mean, honestly, it's a tale as old as time. PL gets big, gets his heart. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Forget about it.
Forget about it. The fact that I can't do a New York accent is actually so pathetic.
What's the best accent you can do?
If I do it, then people might call me names. So
all right, so continue with your analysis of the game, sir.
Can you show me like off camera, whatever it is?
No problem. Yeah, I think, like you said, Entity got off to a much better start. They got the first Roche, which was, I wouldn't call it a steal necessarily, but it definitely catapulted them back into the game.
It was sneaky, yeah.
Got back into the game as a result, but yeah, Amar's, I thought OG did a really good job of just not sitting around and fighting in the same area. Obviously, the Wukong's command with Entity, they want to fight in the same area, as Jenkins was talking about.
Yeah.
But they did a lot of good, like, poking in and out type of fights, which I think definitely favored OG in the end, and that second Roche pretty much just ensured the game for OG.
It really did. It was a matter of having the Timbersaw up against the Monkey King, both signature heroes, of course, for Amar and Crystallis respectively. And that matchup is what Purge would like to talk to you about.
Thank you, Shiver. Yes, the Timbersaw matchup is one where Timber does have a little bit of a tough time against Monkey King, despite him being a melee hero. Amar and Taiga did a great job trying to stabilize the lane. What's important is that you have to expect that you're going to get less last hits and gold and experience than your opponent. But what you have to do is try to get as much as you can. At this point, about 5 minutes in, Entity actually did a really good job. They got about a 2k gold advantage between how their offlane went and the safe lane here. But in most of these situations, with the exception of Taiga's death here, OG did a really good job bringing in reinforcements. BZM rotated here at the 5-minute mark to help kill Crystallis and also the Shadow Shaman, which is really impactful. And then almost every time they looked for little openings here and there. Amar at this phase with 3 points in reactive armor is basically impossible to kill, even with Crystallis going max points of Jengu Mastery, maximum lifesteal, maximum damage, that kind of thing. But they killed him here the second time with that great glyph on the creep wave. And then once again, as soon as he comes back to lane, they arrow him, they deal damage, they escape expertly the Pugna gank from the side that would have definitely messed them up in a big way. And immediately afterwards, within about a minute, Kunko ganks with a haste rune. So this is what you got to do. I know it's really hard in those matchups where you say, oh, they've got the counter, this really sucks. If you just barely survive and wait till your mid rotates, it really gives you a big advantage. OG catches up here at the 11-minute mark, and then they get to play normal Dota after that, despite being counterpicked in the lanes.
Thank you very much, Purge, indeed. I would say the Roche fight that we saw at the very end there, the one that Sunsfan talked about as well, is probably the deciding factor. At that point, the game was even. And what happens is that Amar got a little quilling blade, cuts down the trees of Crystallis, and basically makes Monkey a non-factor throughout the entire duration of the fight. So that kind of sealed the deal. Entity had a good start. And we can take a quick look at the standings, see where that puts us, because as said earlier, Entity will have to play in a tiebreakers. They're now tied with Brame for 6th, 7th, and of course 7th gets relegated down to Division 2 next tour around. And OG on top of the charts with the first team with 6 victories. Now, I do want to point out that there is one more series played in Division 1, which is Gaming Gladiators taking on Team Liquid, which means OG and Gaming Gladiators could potentially be tied for first. And what happens in that case, because there is quite the points difference, we have inquired with our admins but have not yet gotten a final word on what will happen. Also, it is of course still very possible that if Team Liquid beat Gaming Gladiators, they'll be shared third, second.
If they haven't shared yet, can we make requests?
What's the request?
A request if with the tie for the top place.
Yeah.
Best of 7 between the 2 teams.
I'd like that, but they do
First
get the
to
lunch break.
If they want,
after game
optional.
3? Yeah.
Phone call.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing a second opinion on that. Hey, Amar, congratulations on the series.
Hello, thank you very much.
How did it feel? Because I know you guys, you wanted to face Entity for a long time already. How did it feel being able to beat Crystallis and the guys?
I mean, it felt good, and I think I enjoyed this match so much. Like playing with Creepwave, like that was like even against them, like how much, like 4 months, 5 months.
It was
very great.
Relatively short time ago. You got to do it, especially in the second game here. You on your Timber Saw, Crystallis on his Monkey King. Did that bring back some good memories?
I mean, it was actually the first time we learned this. Like even in ranked games, we never learned this. Never tested matchup, never anything. This was the first time we ever learned this.
How are you feeling about how it played out?
I mean, of course, he gonna get more money and then he gonna die. Didn't expect much.
All right. Amar, reflect back with me a little bit. This is the final series of the season. How do you feel if you look back, all the matches you've played? How do you look back on it?
I mean, all our matches were 2-0, so it's only this secret game where I decided, maybe time to lose. What can I do? Like, I just played so badly that day. I cannot do anything about it.
I will tell you that series, especially the third game of that series, probably was one of the most enjoyable games we've watched in the tournament. So even if you lost, I'm still very thankful that game was played.
It was the worst game I've ever played.
From your perspective, I can understand, but for us, I mean, it was an entertaining one for sure. I'm also curious about what the plan is, because I know, you made it to Stockholm. You already knew that, of course, before today as well. But what's the plan for the major? Are you guys planning on boot camping a little bit beforehand? Are you all going to come to Stockholm earlier? What's the deal?
Yeah, we will be at least I will be boot camping after Ramadan finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will be with the bootcamp in Portugal in May 2nd or 3rd.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Yeah.
With BZM and everyone. Like everyone will be there at that time.
And then you all fly to Stockholm together when it's time.
Yeah, we will fly together.
Well, that sounds like a good plan. I'm here with Sunsfan and Pyrian Flax. They'd also like to ask you some questions, Amar.
Hello, Amar. A couple questions for you, good sir. First and foremost, you are a very confident young man, which I do appreciate. But tell me, are you surprised by the success that you guys have had the last couple seasons since, I mean, from a viewer perspective, a lot of people hadn't heard of a lot of the players from OG. Obviously, you're filling the seats, let's call it, for very legendary players, but you guys have done more than admirable. Like, you guys have exceeded probably everybody's expectations. So did that surprise you at all?
I mean, I wasn't really surprised. Like, I always look forward to beat every team, and I never want to put a mindset where I want to lose or we can 2-1 them low. I only want to come and 2-0 this team. In my mindset that I just want to win every team, and the team also nobody just back down from anything. We just want to go all in and win this game.
With that in mind, Since you will be going to Stockholm, what team are you most looking forward to playing against that you haven't had the chance to do so?
I mean, there is no CIS teams, so I actually don't really know other teams, actually. Like,
Just imagine everybody's going.
I mean, probably if Tundara make it, then I always love to face Tundara. They are my favorite team, so.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, obviously you guys did have that big team name to fill, you know, with this roster of, as Shannon said, players that perhaps weren't as well known. What kind of conversations did the former players have with you, if any, about how to ignore that pressure and just go in and be yourselves? Because I know that sort of mental sort of coaching is something that No-Tail takes very seriously. What kind of conversations did you guys have?
I mean, conversation, like, I remember, like, Seb gave us like a 10-minute about how to say, like, mindset and things like this. And No-Tail, I think, with the players in bootcamp, but I was never in bootcamp, so I not really know, so.
Okay, fair enough. One other question. If I was learning to play Timbersaw, what one piece of advice would you give me? As someone who was rubbish at Timbersaw and you're amazing at Timbersaw, what one piece of advice would you give me?
That's very hard. Like, oh, I have 1,000 games on Timber. I no longer use brain to this. Like, it's like everything I use is automatic. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Just hitting every spell.
So just play
like,
a lot of Timbersaw would probably be the best.
Yeah, it's like one of the few heroes, like a Meep or like these type of heroes that if you play a lot, you're just gonna master it so hard. And it's one of the heroes.
Okay, no,
Amar,
practice.
Were you born in the darkness? Your room is always pitch black.
I mean, it's night. Like, if it's night, then it's dark.
Yeah,
if
but we invented lights. That was the thing.
Yeah, I can open the light, but I rather play like this.
Okay.
I like to hear it.
I got one final question because obviously you just said that, you know, Seb had a 10-minute conversation and you haven't been to bootcamp yet, so you haven't had like the No-Tail vibe, as it were. But I believe you did have calls with Mia Stolberg, the esports psychologist. Do you feel like you've had any help from her?
It was like okay, and for the team, like it was like after this, like for sure something changed, and yeah, like I can say it's like some change like happened, and it may like it was after Secret Loss, so who knows? Maybe that was the reason we 2-0 every team.
What would you say that the change was? Is that something you can put to words?
I mean, just mentally, like oh, we lost this game. Okay, guys, I go break items. Or can we call GG, guys? We lost this game. I died once. Like, probably, like, kind of like this, I can say.
And now you're able to just continue on and always see the winning side of things, in that sense?
Yeah, like, always winning side. Like, even if on scrims we lose, we're like, okay, like, everyone just on same point. We go GG or we go try. And yeah, like, everything better, like, and we discuss everything like in a normal human way, like in a very good way also. Like, yeah.
That sounds like a very healthy way to deal with Dota, absolutely. Amar, I want to once again congratulate you on a fantastic season.
Thank you.
And on obviously the series here as well, beating your former teammates. And I am very much looking forward to seeing you guys play in Stockholm. And I'm sure that everybody that's watching right now is feeling the same way. And I was wondering if you had anything to say to the people watching and cheering you on all the way.
Anything to say? Creep wave, nothing else.
Creep wave, all right. Strong final words. Thank you so much, Amar. Good luck in Stockholm and enjoy some well-deserved rest as well.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. And we can take a look. I mean, we already take a look at the standings. We don't need to do that. You know what? We should take a look at the schedule for tomorrow because there's 2 more series in the entire Western European DPC League, excluding tiebreakers. We got ourselves Team Liquid versus Gaming Gladiators, so we're going to find out if OG keeps being the only team with the 6-1 there at the top of the board, or maybe Gaming Gladiators will join them, or maybe Gaming Gladiators will be tied with Team Liquid after the series. We don't know just yet. It also doesn't matter. Both teams, well, it does matter for points, but both teams will be attending the major. Then we got ourselves Into the Breach versus Winter Bear. There is still also something on the line for that. Winter Bear is already eliminated, but if they manage to beat Into the Breach, Then Into the Breach get forced into the three-way tie with Team Bald Reborn and Ivy. There you go. Totally knew that.
Well done, because I wasn't going to help you with that one.
But
Clutch.
yeah, only 2 more series to go. All of the Western European Dota for today is done, though. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed every minute of it. I know we did. Make sure if you didn't catch any of the red buttons of the day, they are now on YouTube. You should check that out. Also, you can still join the major crowd if you get the tickets. They're still there. Of course, you'll be able to see OG Liquid Gaming Gladiators and Tundra in action, as we now know the top 4 of Division 1 of Western Europe. And yeah, we hope to welcome you back tomorrow because there's 2 more series for Dream League Season 17 powered by Intel. You do not want to miss them. So see you tomorrow.